Okay. Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah, oh, yeah. That's what it was, yeah. Yeah. That's the mistake.
Yes, there's some mistakes.
Thank you for me.
It's 6 o'clock and I'm calling this meeting to order, please.
Yeah.
Good evening and welcome everyone. This meeting is being recorded and will be available on the city's YouTube channel. Just a reminder to the audience, whether you are presenting or just commenting on an agenda topic, please come to the podium and wait to be recognized by the mayor, stating your name and address. There is a 7-minute time limit. Non-agenda items can be presented under citizens not on the agenda, but will not be discussed by the council. Above all,
That's great.
above all, please show courtesy and respect at all times. Thank you. We'll move on to our roll call, please. Marion.
Nick Wolf, Jacob Wozniak, Mike Tom Mary.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, number 4, approval of the consent agenda. Are there any questions on the consent agenda? Hearing none. Entertain a motion to accept and approve the consent agenda.
Motion, second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 5, our first discussion with a possible motion is on the flock safety license plate recognition cameras. Do we have some presenter here? If you'll tell us who you are, please.
Sir, Doug Rennick, the Chief Deputy for Lynn County Sheriff's Office. Thanks for having me down here. I sent, email probably a couple months ago to the city council, I believe, and to city administrator as well as the mayor, gauging their interest on possibly adding some block cameras throughout the city limits of Fairfax. This isn't something that we just did for Fairfax. I sent all the cities that the sheriff's office is responsible for law enforcement to gauge their interest. So it sounded like you guys had maybe some follow-up questions, which is why I'm out there. I will say that we're gonna, very likely that we're gonna be adding some of these out in the county. The amount is to be determined, yeah, as well as the locations.
I think a question that I initially had is, well, I guess first, after that, our council meeting, I think there's something going on in the area, and I think it was noted that cameras helped catch these people, whatever the situation was in a week or so after.
Yeah, I mean, they're a very good public safety tool, not only for the criminal aspect of it, that, hypothetically, you live in the city and somebody breaks into your house and, at 2 o'clock in the morning, say hypothetically, we could look at the cameras and see who's kind of coming and going.
Sure.
Gives us starting points for our investigations, but it's more than just that. It could be, your elderly father who, takes off and leaves his cell phone at home and you have no idea where he's at.
Yeah.
So there's obviously multiple different aspects that we utilize as cameras for, but obviously public safety is a huge aspect of that. They're not speed enforcement, they're not light cameras, they're strictly tools to utilize to enhance public safety.
Yeah. The question I have is, I can't remember how many cameras, was it 6 cameras proposed or asking for, or how many?
It really comes down to
I think-
obviously
4, wasn't it?
what you guys want. I believe that I
Yeah, 4.
sent, when I sent it out, I basically just had kind of a rough idea based off the city limits on where I would propose, but obviously I'm keenly aware that there's costs associated with this, so depending on what you have for funding, if any, then obviously that's gonna be a deciding factor on how many you're interested in paying it all.
Just, I guess what I'm getting at is, I think it was proposed at $12,000 for, that's all 4 cameras. What goes into that $12,000 per year?
It's the cost directly from Flock, which is the manufacturer that are for these, so That includes the camera, I think I put in there as my, can't read my email, but depending on what you ended up having for the pole that you have to use, determines the cost, so there's a little bit additional cost. Depending on the type of pole that they use to install this, but they're generally speaking, solar powered, it covers the connectivity, the internet, the access the information, so your guys' cost is exactly what you see, so $3,000 plus whatever the initial cost is to get them operational, and it's a reoccurring cost every year, $3,000, that's the
And
same
that's
cost
just a
that
blanket cost, no matter where it's at, what town, county, whatever.
Correct, that's the exact same cost that we're gonna have as well, so the only difference is depending what pole you have to use when they mount these, depending on the location.
What happens if one of the cameras gets damaged or needs to be replaced?
That's something that we would work for, block for, and then they come in and replace it. No different than any type of upgrades that are available, they automatically push those out.
Any other questions, council?
The 3,000 per year, sorry, there was no other attachments in this, so I missed some of this, I know there was some last month, but what is the ongoing cost
3,000 per camera per year, yeah.
per year?
I have a question. So if we, like, say something does happen, is it something where we can just call the sheriff's office and say this happened? Can you look at the cameras? What is the access that we would have depending on what's going on?
Yeah, and the cameras are law enforcement sensitive, so if you had something where, you had vandalism or you had something going on at City Hall and you're like, hey, we believe this will carry over this time frame. And obviously, depending on what type of window of time you're giving us, we still may be looking at for a needle in a haystack, but we can clearly review cameras and, try to determine if there's any actionable leads that we need to take to try to solve the problem.
Any other questions, council?
What information, apologies if this was in last month, but what information does Flock collect?
They collect basically the information off the vehicles, it's not like capturing the driver. So they capture distinguishing marks on like a vehicle, so hypothetically, if you had a bumper sticker on the back of a black truck, say for an example, and we knew it said, Renneker for sheriff. We could put that in the database. I got your attention. We could put that in our database and it would link to all the cameras and it would highlight where this vehicle's been or potential, locations that it's been not only in the past, but in real lifetime. Now that data is only saved for 30 days unless we go in there and mark it as an active investigation. But it's not something that you can come to us and say, hey, we had something 2 months ago. Can you guys go back and look at this? Because the answer it automatically rewrites itself unless we have a reason to go in there and earmark it to be saved.
Do you guys use it real time for like Amber Alerts and stuff?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So it's no different than if we have these cameras, they're linked into our dispatch center, so if there was a vehicle that drove by, we get the license plate off, if the registered owner has an outstanding warrant, we're gonna get alerted. Now, obviously, we have to be in the area, but clearly it's very helpful for us.
Any other questions, council? We want to consider a motion?
Since you budget wise, how's that impact?
Well, we have enough money, we'd have to put it into the budget amendment if we wanted to start yet this fiscal year, but, we used to pay for Signal 88. And then we don't have those costs anymore. This would be much less than that was.
And when would this, if it goes through, when would this go up?
It's a great question. I mean, ideally, we're obviously working with other cities as well. The idea to do one-stop shopping, so to speak, for when the company comes in, if we have other cameras that are going up in other areas that, that's just smart to have them do it all in one shot. So, I mean, I don't necessarily need a decision today, to be honest with you, because we're still working through our own for the county, but if we do something in the next month or two, then obviously the sooner the better. So.
I mean, as long as, my wife can't use it to see how many times I go to Dunkin' Donuts a week, I don't see a problem.
The motion,
That's a motion.
I'll second.
And is that for 4 cameras?
Yes.
Yeah.
Over.
I need an all in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Any opposed?
I,
Thank you, Colonel.
Yeah, and just to clarify, I'll reach out to you guys down the road then, based off your interest, once we finalize things with Flock. Cause we'll have to, it'll be one-stop shopping, I believe, for the bill, so you're likely gonna bill the sheriff's office, and then whatever cities sign on for this, you will get a separate invoice from the sheriff's office for your portion of the bill. But it's likely not gonna be for at least a month or two.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
This is the sheriff's report, the next one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next, we're moving on to reports. Starting with the sheriff's report, and you're gonna do that for us as well?
Yeah, I can do this one stop for the day. So as you can see, we met our required hours of 78, for the month. We had numerous different calls as it relates to the city limits of Fairfax. Then we had 89 calls for service, and I'd entertain any questions you guys have on this.
Oh, I know what I was gonna say. We've had, a lot of complaints about, we're not supposed to have, semi truck traffic through town. And they are coming straight through town out to the data centers, like down Church Street specifically. If they happen to be in town, if they could kind of just maybe keep an eye if they see one of them, they're not supposed to be down there.
Yep, you said semis, right?
Yeah, like semi.
I can send an email to our patrol division or patrol major and you can. So if that knows that you watch it for it.
Thank you.
And I did, submit a request to Sergeant Colston on, a couple of things. We, reports, ATV, UTVs racing and speeding on East Cemetery Road.
Okay.
And also a lot of reports of underage golf cart drivers.
Okay, I think I saw an email for that, but I'm not sure if it was in the city of Fairfax or somewhere else here recently, but I can remind them and you can send out the staff members and make sure that they're aware of the issues.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, the department reports and engineers reports are in your packet. Did you have any questions for anyone on those department reports?
Yeah, I'd love to hear what happened at 60 and 11 there.
that's me.
Yeah, that's you.
Well, what I was told was, the group that was doing the landscaping after the fact, so that was Soto Concepts, was there prepping, the, ground for delay side. And, the subject there and that, for that property has been disgruntled from day one. He's been calling everybody, constantly complaining, which is fine, it's whatever, we just deal with it. Except for that day when they were out there doing that, he decided he wanted to mow his yard at the same time, and so he went out with a push mower and went right up to where they were at in their working area, started mowing right alongside them, and then started hitting them with his elbow as he's walking by there. And so they were not comfortable with that, and so the phone call started going around, and I contacted Chris, and we went that route to see if we could nip it in the bud.
Yeah, I ended up calling the non-emergency number and just asked the deputy to have deputy meet me out there. Talk to the landscaping guys, and they said, yeah. He'd been throwing elbows and pushing them, aggressively pushing them over at him, that kind of stuff. Well, they were pretty well completed. They left. I waited for the sheriff and he talked to the homeowner. It's right away property. Very little of it was in his yard. There's probably a 5x6 area that was actually in his yard, which is in an easement, legal easement. The rest of it's in the city right away, so. To Brian's point, he's been like that since it began.
And this was the neighbor, not the directly impacted property.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
It was 6811 or people, the shades.
No, Keith's been fine.
That was-
I've stopped, Keith several times since we've been up there working.
Yeah, they've been.
Yeah.
Good to deal with.
They're nice.
Any other questions?
I would about to,
Spanky, can we back up a second? Spanky, the fire on October 5th. In your report, you talked about lack of water. Or.
There's not fire hydrants out there.
It's not city water.
And how did that impact fighting the fire?
I mean, from the initial attack, it slows you down a lot. We actually had to, run a hydrant line from Stallman Road or Stallman Drive by Dollar General, and then ran it up a private drive and put a truck up there and then cut a hole through a fence and then put the hydrant hose through the fence and ran it down to the engine on the driveway.
Those are all private drives.
It's,
I was gonna say that whole court and that drive all the way back there, that's all private.
but everything on Southview Road or East Cemetery Road, there's no hydrant for any of those houses up there, so. It's,
What's
someday there might be, but that's just slows down the process, makes more work for you, but.
Any other questions coming forward? If not, we'll move on to item number 7. Oops, excuse me.
Hold on, let me make sure. This is for the building department. I know this was time constraints previously, but I had asked about this on all the violations on the apartment complex at the end of Railroad Street where people are shitting in buckets and dumping them God knows who where. What, movement has been done on that?
So the last movement on that is there are 2 paying residents in there. And the work process has begun on their end to try to remedy all the corrections. None of it has been visible on the outside. Reached out a couple of times via email, trying to get a response, even a phone call, they don't answer. So
So the units that were condemned, are people still living in those units?
no, I've even observed it at the evening. And I can see that there's lights on there, but I can also see driving over the viaduct that they're working. I've seen some paint sticks going up and down as I'm driving by, so I think they're trying to remedy the issues. Very little activity as residents there, because I think there's only 2 people. I believe that's our active water service there also, it's just 2. Next steps are following.
I was gonna say, they have to basically get back to you when it's they're ready for the inspection.
Yep.
Well, they need to pull permits. I've told them that several times.
Nope, and yes.
Because that's a real, they can't do their own work. I don't know. It really is, we're gonna end up with the lawyer involved in order to take the next steps. We were kind of pausing to see what happened in Cedar Rapids in that case. And I honestly don't know, I'm thinking back to the case, if it's went to court or where they're at, but. You know, the resources available to Cedar Rapids and something like that are a lot more plentiful than we have on that, so. It has to kind of,
Timetable would you put in there?
what do you think, Eric?
I mean, I'm ready to go right now. Gone not too long.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
What do you think?
And how long has that been going on?
Since May. And then
April probably, I guess.
Cindy,
you did get
probably in April,
That's
that's
about
the
it.
former administrator.
Yeah. Yeah, Eric went on the first one too.
on the inspections,
Yeah.
yep, and, as a whole, the rental situation, everybody's made their corrections in a timely manner. Everything's safe, fire, smokes, smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, those those rooms and all the other properties have been taken care of pretty quickly. And been re-inspected, so. That's all good news, we do have some problem ones. And they're big, so. I just wanna make sure that the proper steps are taken correctly, so we don't hurt ourselves.
Is the endpoint basically condemnation of the property if they don't resolve it, or is that's a bridge for cross on another day?
Something we should run by the
That
lawyer
would be
before
legal
we get.
advice at that point.
Yeah,
I look at my file every day and I see it in a red folder, so. I think of it often.
All right.
Anything else, council? If not, we'll move on to item number 7, which is a public hearing regarding the electric franchise ordinance with ITC. Our process will be that I'll open the public hearing. We'll hear a presentation, if any. Council will discuss, we'll entertain public comments. And then we'll close the public hearing. So we'll start off, I'm going to open the public hearing. We do have an ITC representative here. Jamie, are you going to speak to us? Or
Hi, Jamie Toledo, I can give you my address, 416 Liberty Drive, Cedar Rapids. I just came to thank the mayor and city council for being really collaborative partners in this space. ITC is the Australian Commission only, so we're the energy highway. We don't have any generation, we don't have any distribution, just get the energy to where it needs to go. So basically this franchise, what it will do, franchise is kind of a strange word. It's a contract with the city that just allows us to maintain our current assets. And then if we need to work with city engineer around street infrastructure, removal of poles, that sort of thing, that we can help work with that collaboratively with the city. So if you've got questions, happy to answer those. And just want to say thank you again for the partnership.
council, any questions? Jamie? Pardon?
So isn't it a public hearing?
There's this is received and correct that feedback problem. Cynthia, did we receive any comments prior to the meeting? No, no. Does anyone in the public have any questions regarding this ITC franchise agreement? Hearing none, I'm going to close the.
Oh, I got one question.
Oh.
That main paragraph, the last part of the paragraph says in granting the right of eminent domain, when does that end?
It rarely happens within the city limits. But should there be need for a transmission line to come within the city limits, the city would be the one that would grant authority for eminent domain. When we're out in the country or out in the county areas, the county's the one that does eminent domain.
Okay.
If it's necessary. I will just mention that we have a 99% voluntary easement negotiations as of right now. So it's very unusual that we have to do that. But we've talked to our property owners multiple times. We know them very well. So most of the time it's an easy process, but it would be the city that would have to step in if it was in the city limits.
Has anything changed from the previous agreement, well, the current agreement to this one, that's in there, it's just re-up it and basically is all that it is, right? Nothing new.
Right. It just allows us, if there's a storm, that we can come in, replace poles, that we can work on general maintenance. We work with your safety folks right now when there's any kind of issues. So it's just basic operations.
Thank you, Jamie. Anyone here from the public have any questions for Jamie?
I have one more question on that. Specifically on section 6 on vegetation management. I understand you can cut down trees and stuff that get too close. But are you required to take all of it when you cut it down? Or does that be property owner's property? And after you sit down and ask like totally non-related question.
No, sorry. I'm actually not a vegetation cure or expertise, so I would probably put you in contact with our folks that do that. We try to have as much vegetation as we can, a lot of prairie grasses. Obviously, when there's farmers, they're able to farm under the lines. So we try to work with the cities. If you have, some special needs that you're looking at, like we'd like a screen somewhere.
No, my question was, if you cut down a bunch of trees around power lines, do you make the property's only property owner's problem to dispose of the trees?
No, that's ours. That's on us.
You hear it better?
Yeah, that's better.
Wait till she sits down and never answers.
Before you sit,
A little more volume on me.
That's okay. A little more volume, guys.
before you sit down.
How's that?
That's the, that's the.
So just back to eminent domain, as Nick was asking, so you're saying that it would come in Fairfax if needed, but the way I'm reading it, it sounds like we would just carte blanche grant you eminent domain with this.
No, you still have to, it's not the pass through city council.
Is your concern that you think that we basically have to, if they want us to eminent domain something, we have to agree with that regardless? Is that-
You wouldn't understand
That's the
it.
way it seems like it's written.
And I'd be happy to put you in contact with somebody if you have questions about that further too, but no, the city council would have to weigh in on that.
Any other questions, council?
Because this is obviously a contract and it's 25 years, which is an exceptionally long time. If we had our lawyers look at it.
No, it's a forward agreements.
And it's same as the one we signed before. Great.
Did I stare, compare?
No, but yeah.
Okay. Final call for questions, council. Thank you again, Jamie. I'm going to close the public hearing. And we'll move on to item number 8, which is to consider ordinance granting this franchise to ITC. I would need a motion in that regard.
Motion.
Did I hear something?
Second.
Roll call, please, Tom?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. That was the first reading, introducing and approve. Any consideration for suspending the rules regarding the second and third readings are being motioned to be suspended. I have one second. Roll call, Mary Ann.
Aye.
Thank you. And finally, consider the motion to give final approval.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please, Tom.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Moving on to item number 9, which is also a public hearing. This is regarding adopting updated Fairfax Code of Ordinances and zoning code. This is a codification process. We'll go ahead and open up the public hearing, and then Cynthia, are you gonna explain?
Sure.
Okay, so the public hearing is now open.
So, the city, passes ordinances and, we post them and they're effective. But every few years we codify, so we take all the ones that have been passed and put them in the chapter where they should go. And we haven't done that for a while, so that's just what this is doing, it's just putting them all, formatting them into the book. It's not any ordinance that didn't pass, and it's not any ordinance like still on our agenda here that hasn't been passed. This is just everything that has previously happened.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Council, any questions for Cynthia on that process?
How often do you codify?
they want us to do it every 5 years. I think it's actually been 7.
17, so that's all.
State once every 5, it's been a little bit longer.
Yeah, a little bit longer.
Did we receive any public comments?
No.
In advance of the meeting? Looks like we might have a question for the public person.
Cindy Anderson, Fairfax resident. I just had a question. Will this be in only paper format or will this be actual, that's on the website?
It'll be on-
See that?
Yeah, it'll be on the website too.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. Thank you very much.
Any other questions from the public? Or council? If not, I'm gonna close the public hearing. And we'll move on to item number 10. We need a motion to introduce and approve the first reading of adopting, this codified version of our ordinances and zoning code.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please, Marion.
I,
Aye.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules on the second and third?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please. Tom?
Aye.
Aye. And lastly, need a motion for final passage and adoption.
Motion. Aye.
Roll call, please, Marion.
I.
Aye.
Thank you. All right. That takes us up to item number 11. Discussion concerning citizen informational meeting input. I see Joe Kellis, the poet.
My name is Joe Kell, 655 Fern Lane, Fairfax. I'm also a Parks and Rec Director. In regards to siting of the Alliance 2 power generation plant, my priority is the safety and well-being of park goers, not just the complex, but all parks. After hearing such conflicting reports of people visiting the plant in Marshalltown, my wife and I decided on the Sunday in September to drive to Marshalltown and see and hear for ourselves how intrusive a power generating plant would be. Obviously, we couldn't get into the plant, but from the gate, we did hear a low level hum coming from the plant, and it was consistent. That hum did not drown out birds, the traffic, crickets, or any other sound in the immediate area. When we got back in the car, we could not hear the hum any longer. There were no plumes, no smells, no vultures, no high-pitched noises, and the area looked clean. However, knowing that we were very limited as what we were looking at, what we had access to, we decided to knock on a couple of the neighborhood or the neighboring doors. It was a Sunday afternoon, not many people were home, but we did talk to 2 families. The first family was a young couple. They had been in their house for about 6 months. They have a couple of kids and they were about 3,900 feet away from the plant. The second family, I talked to the husband. He's been in the house longer than the plant has been there, which is about 13 years. They are about 3,600 feet away from the plant. He also has 2 kids. The kids haven't had no effects living that close to the plant. Both families said the same thing. There was no noise, no smell. The only time they could see the plumes was when it was really cold. And that was just the second family. The first family hadn't been there long enough. They said the manufacturing plant 2 blocks away was much more of a nuisance. There was a CAPS office, which stands for Children, Adolescents, Parenting Services. It's like a HACAP with outside facilities. They were closed, but they were operational and within 3,600 feet of the plant. I asked the first family if moving near a power generation plant came into play when deciding to move into their house. They said they had done their research, and in the end, the power generating plant was not an issue. I have also spoken with previous employees of the city of Cedar Rapids about the Tate Cummings Park and the coal burning plant that is located about 800 feet away from that park. Both of those locations have been there for a very long time. No effect on the use of the ballpark, meaning the numbers are still good. It is noisy, but so is the train that runs right by the park. There's no smell, there's no ash falling from the sky, and that is a coal generating plant. But back to the priority about my parks. I am satisfied there is no additional health risk to the park goers of the complex or any other Fairfax park. And I am confident that use of the complex will only continue to increase, as it has every year since 2013. The number of cars in the parking lot and the regular movement of the train will still be the major contributors to air quality at the complex. Local business revenue will still be tied to the use of the complex and other parks and rec activities, and not a power generating plant, in my opinion. There is a transformer substation right across the road from the complex, which emits electromagnetic field very harmful to people who live close by. Per an article that I Googled. There was another article that I Googled that said the data was inconclusive. And a third article that said anything past 500 feet is undetectable. And that's the point of the Google search. You can find whatever information you want, even when the information contradicts itself. Colorado is the only state with a mandated setback for these types of power generating plants, and it's 1,000 feet for high occupancy buildings like hospitals and schools, and 500 feet statewide. The information from the DNR and the Lynn County Health Department confirms that natural gas is the cleanest fossil fuel power generating plant there are, and they continue to get better. Calculations made by the Office of Electricity, Renewables, and Uranium Statistics, U.S. Energy, show that between 2013 and 2023, carbon dioxide, CO2, emissions decreased by 29.54%. Sulfur dioxide, SO2, decreased 76.5%, and nitrogen oxide, NOx, was down 48.36%. These are facts. Just think of what those numbers could be in another 10 years. Excuse me. My wife Brenda and I will rely on the science and the facts. We believe this is what's best for Fairfax now and in the future. We support Alliance Power Generating Plant at its original site. Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Council, you have several pieces of information in your packet on this item. Any questions about that? Anyone from the public, all right, any other individuals wishing to speak? Looks like we've got.
Jeff in Strickwood Lane, myself and Amy Hegbo are the two that put on the citizen-led informational meetings that we had. First thing I want to say is thank you to Cynthia, Chris, the council members that attended, Mary Ann, Tom, and Dan. Appreciate you guys being a part of that and showing interest in what we wanted to put together. We had a representative from DNR as well as a representative from Lynn County Public Health there to discuss questions that the citizens might have to help people be informed as best we could. There's a lot of conversation that was definitely over our heads when it came to the science of it. But I think it helped me at least get kind of a clearer understanding of what this might look like. I'm not here to pitch one way or the other, because that's not what the meetings were meant to be about. I felt the meeting went well, they were very civil, everybody was respectful of each other. The results from the meeting, which I did say at the end of the meeting, I would send everyone an email that provided an email address, just to gauge their yes, no vote as to what they thought at the time, or after they had time to process the information they were provided. We were provided 50 email addresses from the people that came and left from the meeting. 2 of those emails were sent back undeliverable, so we either transposed it incorrectly or could not understand them. 2 of the folks that replied to the emails were undecided. They were not sure what they wanted to say yet. We had 18 no's and 17 yeses. So pretty solid 50-50 split on the yes. Again,
Just want to say thanks for all the copies, the information that was put together, the use of the space, the setup, for us to have those meetings. Does anyone have any questions? Hey, Brent.
Yeah,
Okay. Hi there, my name is Rita Yearling. I live at 513 Front Street, Fairfax side. I've lived in Fairfax for 30 years, and during that time, I have seen positive and reasonable growth, which has allowed our community to thrive and flourish. However, passing an exemption for a power plant or allowing any heavy industrial, heavy-side flooring towers, or changing permits for zoning codes within the town limits should not be permitted and is inappropriate. I had a council member ask me how to bring our community together. And in all honesty, our community did come together in opposition to a power plant. I've been invited into their homes. They have driven and walked to the parks to sign a petition. They have attended meetings and talked to their neighbors on our streets and online. They have asked questions and thanked our group for creating an informational flyer and for fighting against a proposed power plant. I've met so many wonderful Fairfax citizens. I have learned that we have shared passions and concerns for our community and its residents. A majority of people that I talk to moved to Fairfax because of the small town feel without heavy industry. They enjoy being out of the city and being close to the rolling farm fields. Here are some of the smart choices for our home sweet home Fairfax that have been discussed. Smart choice number 1, to continue to have clean air. A power plant doesn't improve our air quality. Adding toxins and particulate matter within a very close proximity to our town does not add to the Fairfax citizens' health, but endangers them. This is scientifically proven. Smart choice number 2, to provide our town with a safe environment. A power plant with natural gas turbines increases fire safety risks, possible risks of explosion and fire, increased traffic, construction, road closures, and deaths. This doesn't improve the quality of life for our citizens. Smart choice number 3, to not expose citizens to increased noise, light pollution, and literally add an eyesore to our town. Smart choice number 4, to not endanger our youth. Placing a power plant directly by a sports complex does not make common sense. Smart choice number 5, to respect our neighbors and their home values. A power plant does not increase our home values, but decreases our home values. Smart choice number 6, to honor scientific principles that were provided by the Airport Commission, which concludes that thermal uplift and heat isn't safe for airport passengers or aircraft. Last year, 1.5 million passengers traveled through the Eastern Iowa Airport. That includes businessmen and women, doctors, nurses, scientists, engineers, health and safety officials, families, athletes, the elderly, politicians, and children. Why would we want to put them at risk? Why would we discount information from a commissioned report? Don't you wonder about how other communities and state officials are viewing Fairfax right now? It's embarrassing that we continue to push against a federally funded entity that serves Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, border regions of Wisconsin and Illinois, as well as serves 38% of our Iowa population. Our town doesn't look like a good neighbor, and it doesn't represent many of the citizens' views. This is being pursued and pushed by the city and the council, parts of the council. In addition to the city administrator, which keeps pursuing this action when Alliant already stated that they were deprioritizing Fairfax. I asked, what direction is this city going in? Why is unneeded stress and controversy being perpetuated by our city? How do we move forward? We need a majority of the council that truly cares about the citizens and listens to the citizens. We have had several hundred petition signatures, 330 citizens who are actively engaged and concerned about our town. We've had discussions, we've been in the news, we've been in newspapers and online. I've met over 200 Fairfax citizens and I have visited many homes. Only 2 residents said that they supported the plant. One man said that he supported more energy, and another man said that he was retired from Ultrafer and Alliant was one of his customers. We did discuss the fact that the data centers need energy, but not near a small township and close to a sports complex, homes, and at our citizens' expense. Another resident who has Alliant stock told me, I have stock, but this isn't a good choice for our community, and he signed the petition. He also served our country and fought in Vietnam. Thank you, Mr. P. Please listen to the citizens. One resident told me that she specifically chose Fairfax for the hometown feel and size of the community. She came here from Oregon to be with her only son and grandchild. She looked at Cedar Rapids and Marion for homes, but she chose Fairfax. Another couple that has lived here for a year and a half and is in their current dream home said it was like a gut punch when they heard the majority of the council was supporting this. A resident who has lived here for 22 years said, "How on God's green earth could any city council member think that for 1 second that building a polluting power plant is a good idea?" Another family moved here from California for a better quality of life and to live amongst the cornfields and by the countryside. They said that they were disturbed by the lack of sensible judgment from some of the city and council members, and they fear the repercussions that a power plant would have on our community. We need swift action to stop the second reading of allowing an exemption for a power plant. This would comfort residents and provide them with reassurance that Fairfax is not a heavy industrial town. And we don't want heavy industry to be located by our housing developments. The job of our city staff and elected officials should be to listen to and to represent what the majority of the community wants, and not to be concerned with possible financial gains from these types of industry. They also need to be a good neighbor to the Eastern Iowa Airport. By indefinitely postponing and killing the motion to the exemption of a power plant, it would show that the Fairfax Council cares about their community as well as the surrounding community. Things we can do as citizens: read the Fairfax facts and learn what is going on with our community. Support our local businesses. I encourage you to vote at the next election on Tuesday, November 4th. We truly need to be represented by council members who are listening to their constituents. Please vote for the representatives that align with your beliefs and your family's best interests. According to the Lynn County website, last year we had 879 citizens vote in our local election. We had 330 signatures, and that's a large percentage of the people in our community that are passionate about this topic. I will say one thing about the Heidi's information. Thank you for doing that. I had 6 people, it said 0 people voted on October 8th against, and I had 6 people sign my petition on their way out. I was kind of concerned that it didn't really.
1 minute.
Yep, no problem. Oh, I was concerned that it didn't represent the crowd. There was a lot of concerned citizens. Things that the council and city could do: highlight a Fairfax business once a month in the Fairfax Facts, so citizens will be encouraged to frequent their businesses. Based on the feedback from the many citizens of Fairfax, the Eastern Iowa Airport Commission report, and the fact that Alliant has deprioritized the site, the council should not move forward with an exemption for a power plant. Listen and please engage positively with the citizens. I know that a large majority of our council and workers.
Rita.
Faster.
Thank you. Not bad.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm Stacy Hughes and my address is 610 Hillview Drive. Not good at public speaking, so just bear with me. I'll try to do my best, and I don't have any special things prepared. This is actually my first council meeting and my first time ever engaging in this kind of democratic process. I will say though that when I talk to people that are around my age and a lot of younger families, I think a lot of us have kind of given up on the process because it often feels like, I mean, even coming here tonight, I don't really feel, to be honest, like anything that I have to contribute tonight will really be considered. We feel like mostly people have already made up their mind and they're gonna do what they're gonna do, which is why I feel like you don't see a lot of young people here this evening, but I figured I'd give it a go, and I really hope that you do take some kind of weight to the concerns that me and my family do have and the discussions that we've had. We moved to Fairfax about 8 years ago, and so we've enjoyed the development of Fairfax, right? We're in the kind of newer development over there. New Fairfax. And we really enjoyed living here. We wanted to get out of Cedar Rapids. We wanted to get, out of a place where there's a lot of noise and just depending on where you live in Cedar Rapids, a lot of different things. And we really enjoyed living here. My husband, he works in industry. He works at ADM, and the building of a power plant is very, very concerning to our family. Especially like when you go to the Lynn County
map, they sent that out like a couple months ago, do you guys remember that about cancer? And why, Iowa's cancers rates are so high, and especially in our area where Fairfax is, and one of the biggest things in our area is industry. Indicating a possible link between industry and the rise of cancer in Iowa. So that's one thing that is, very concerning to our family. The environmental impact is also something that is very super concerning to us. I know that like industries often promise when they come in, yes, like we have all these safety standards, we'll do all these things. But especially with my husband working at ADM, like I'm really shocked about how often they violate environmental standards, and they just pay the fee for it. Like you just have a fee that you have to pay. I mean, they're a multi-billion-dollar company, so it's just easy for them to do that, but they still are affecting the environment. Like, there's no industry that has like 100%, non-offend, I don't know how you would word that, but like not offensive rate of like doing things to their environment. There is an environmental impact. They do make mistakes, there are errors in industry, and they do lead to like doing things to the environment, and they just pay the fee when they do it. And so that is like, that's really concerning about, like how that impacts. That I will say, like, also, like, I just don't want to live in a town that like has a lot of industry. Like, that's one of the reasons why we moved here, and we've even already had a discussion as a family that if this moves forward, this is no longer the place for our young family to be. Like, we don't want to be living that close to industry and to an industrial plant. And we're concerned that even once we do move, that the value of our house could possibly go down, because that's not really something that people are looking for, right? When they're buying a house and having a young family, is wanting to live in a place where there's a lot of industrial buildings and facilities. And that's definitely not what our family is looking for. And I understand like the revenue part and the business part, like it makes good sense. But I just don't, I just like in terms of like money or whatever, but for me personally, like the health and peace of my family is more important than money. I think that there are things that are more important than money, including, the community that you live in, and especially the environment. I'm not a crazy psycho-environmentalist, but I do believe that there are things that we are doing that are not good, including the giant data center is terrible out in Palo. Oh gosh, you drive up to Palo, it just breaks your heart, doesn't it, when you see all those solar panels? And I get that farmers are benefiting off it. I mean, I get, right, there's like, or whatever, but that's just not something that I know, like, our family is just not interested. We don't like, we wanna be in a healthy, quiet, happy place that is far away from industry. And I mean, it's really gonna change Fairfax if that comes here, and it's gonna change the type of people that are living here and the types of families that wanna live here. And I think you should, maybe take that into consideration, but I surely appreciate you guys and your time, and that's all I have to say.
Anyone else from the public?
I just have everything. My name is Tori Lewis, and I live at 9110 Maple Grove Road. I attended the citizen-led meeting on October 1st and listened carefully to the discussion. There was a lot of talk about things being within EPA standards and safe. I understand that safety regulations exist for a reason, but let's be clear. We are considering an addition of a massive heavy industrial facility, one that will bring air pollution, noise pollution, and light pollution into a residential community. The air pollution alone includes toxic chemicals that will be released 24 hours a day. These are pollutants we are not currently breathing. Even if emissions meet federal standards, how can that truly be called safe when those limits still allow pollution known to cause cancer and respiratory illness? At the September meeting, I shared research on health impacts from natural gas power plants. I want to emphasize this again. According to the American Lung Association, emissions from burning natural gas, along with coal and oil, are particularly harmful to people living nearby. These emissions don't just stay local. They can affect people hundreds of miles downwind, but the greatest harm is felt closest to the source. We are talking about placing this facility near our sports complex and residential neighborhoods where children play, families live, and people expected a clean and safe environment when they moved here. Although winds from the northwest are often discussed during the summer months, the prevailing winds typically originate from the south and the southeast. carrying air directly over residential areas of Fairfax at times when children are outdoors and windows are open. I could cite more health studies, but let's be honest, this decision seems to be driven by money. The estimated $350,000 in annual tax revenue may sound appealing, but at what cost? What is the value of clean air? What is the price of a child's asthma or grandparents' lung disease? I think we need to be reminded that health is the greatest wealth. COBRA is a tool developed by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, otherwise known as EPA, that helps state and local governments assess the impacts of air pollution changes on public health and economy. For findings provided by the Iowa Environmental Council of total sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide levels from natural gas power plants in Iowa, the statewide healthcare costs range from $146 million to $232 million. For Lynn County alone, the health and premature death costs are estimated between $6 million and $10 million. These are not small numbers. These are lives, illnesses, and hospital visits. We also know regulatory systems are not perfect. According to the violation tracker website, Alliant Energy, listed as the parent company, has previously agreed to pay civil penalties over $3.5 million for alleged violations of the Clean Air Act. So when we're told trust the regulations, we must ask how many violations happen before anything or anyone is held accountable. Perhaps most concerning is the sense that this was decided before the public was ever involved. Before the first vote in September, I already heard people saying it's a done deal. How could it be a done deal before a single vote was passed? Even after Alliant deprioritized the site, our city administrator, who is not a Fairfax resident and not elected, pushed to invite them back. That push came before the second vote on the ordinance. Why would he do that unless he believes he already knows the outcome? Many of us have signed petitions and spoken out against this project. The Fairfax facts originally said the people of Fairfax should decide what is best for Fairfax. But when it became clear the people opposed it, the message changed to we need to trust our elected officials. With all due respect, no, it is not we the council, it is we the people. Your job is not to steer the public, it is to represent us. The city administrator should be implementing policy, not directing it. People moved here with the understanding that they hear trains and see airplanes overhead. What they did not sign up for was an industrial power plant. We were here first and we have a voice. I urge you, do the right thing, vote no on this ordinance change, protect the health of your constituents, uphold the trust placed in you. As of today, more than 300 residents have expressed opposition. We are watching and we are asking you to listen to the people who elected you. Thank you.
Council, after attending several meetings, planning and zoning, council meetings. Cindy Anderson, Fairfax resident. My note is in the packet, but I wanted to read it as well, so I will start over. Council. After attending several meetings, which included planning and zoning, council meetings, citizen letters, etc., having conversations with citizens of this community, touring the Marshalltown plant, and doing my own research, I'm not in favor of allowing language that would grant the possibility of a heavy industrial site like the proposed Alliant Energy power plant in our town. It seems very strange to me that in order to even have a discussion with Alliant, as the city administrator stated at the last meeting I attended, we need to take this step. We have no idea what the expenses and our revenue of a project like this would entail, but we are being led to believe that we can't get those numbers until a deal is made. That seems like very bad business to me. I have talked to more than 200 people within Fairfax on this issue. I have encountered 3 people who are in favor of this facility. I encourage you to listen to the voices of the Fairfax citizens. They are against this project and you should vote no. This seems to be portrayed by city staff as all about getting money. Some of those prominent city staff voices do not even live in our town. This is about health, our safety, our small town community. Please listen. How much time do I have left, Aaron?
You have about 5 minutes.
3 hours, floor shorts.
No.
That's allowed, yes, yes.
The last comment, I thank you very much. I appreciate that, Miss Cindy, and I want to thank a lot of the council members and the mayor for coming and supporting the citizens and actually listening to them and listening to what they had to say. I do have a comment that's just directed at our current city administrator. In the September issue of the Fairfax Facts, he wrote, "You decide what is best for Fairfax." In the October issue of the Fairfax Facts, he stated that change is inevitable and that we need to trust our elected officials. He gets an open public forum in a published flyer. However, he called me on September 26, 2025, and asked me if I was responsible for the flyer that was being distributed throughout town, and I said proudly, yes, I was. He told me that he wished that I wouldn't do that, and I felt like I was being intimidated because I had a city official calling me out. And I just felt like he was trying to silence my thoughts and my opinions and ideas about our town, and I've been a resident for 30 years. You didn't want the information to be publicized. I'm gonna do this in sign language, but I was raised by two very strong and deaf parents, and even though they couldn't hear, they taught me to use my voice with respect and purpose. Sorry, I get teary, but I've been a resident for 30 years, and he's only held this position for a few weeks, and he doesn't live in Fairfax. So I feel like I should be silenced because I want to publicize to the people of our community and town that we need to have a safe community. And I had so many people thank us, like they just wanted to stand around and talk. That's why I told the stories about the citizens. You guys, we live in a great community. I have met so many people and I'm so proud of where we live. And they don't want to live in a heavy industry. And I feel bad. I don't want this to tear apart our town, but I've learned a lot of things that I've not liked. And maybe we do need some change in our community. So to our community and my neighbors, thank you. I've met so many wonderful Fairfax citizens. They are truly warm, caring, and knowledgeable. We live in a safe community and we want to keep it that way. To our council, please make smart choices. It's like Stephanie that just came up here. We shouldn't feel like the deal is done. That's not what representatives do for us. That's not what public officials are supposed to do. So please do not allow heavy industry to be located within our town limits. Thank you for your time. Let's keep Fairfax our home sweet home, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Are we able to speak from the phone or no?
Yeah.
Call number?
Definitely, just identify yourself, please, and your address.
Yeah, this is Chris Branstad, 150 West Cemetery, on the PMZ board. I would just, real quick, we're split shift tonight, so I apologize not being able to be there, but just real quick, we'd like to remind everyone that nothing has been voted on. I just came up a couple times. This is simply adjusting the ordinance to what Fairfax currently is looking at potentially doing. Secondly, I would like to also remind everybody that there is, chances are the plan is going in somewhere in Lynn County near Fairfax. So it's up to us as residents, us as a community to decide if we're gonna get all the negative effects of this without any positives, or if we're gonna get some revenue from it, right? We can all wish for farm fields and, clean air and all that other stuff that may or may not be true, but fact is, it's going in somewhere, right? We all realize that if you thought about it. So I think that's something to keep in mind. Lastly, I did take a look at the petition. I started to do this, I ran out of time, but my wife and I, one of us is home pretty much all the time. We never saw anybody come by, nobody knocked on our door. Secondly, I started to plot the map of the signatures. It's very concentrated areas of Fairfax, but I would argue that the population of the voice that this is representing is very, very narrow pockets of the town. I think the community meetings were good. I think it's a 50-50 split is probably pretty representative, or it represents it pretty well as far as what I've heard, I guess, with talking to people, but yeah, I'm not exactly sure what went into having a fish. I know somebody's lived for 30 years and saying she just met a bunch of people. That's kind of a conflicting statement, I guess. So I'm a little bit concerned with some of the comments because it's kind of the same stuff that's been said here for the last month at these meetings. I just think people need to take a step back and think, this is probably, if Alliance is going to be funding this thing, it's going to happen. They own all this ground in Lynn County. think we need to be smart about either taking advantage of it or not. You know, the data centers, we don't get anything out of, obviously, it's all Cedar Rapids, so, I just think logically, I guess, would be my point, so, thank you.
Anyone else on the phone that would like to speak? Or in the room? Okay.
Okay. Kathy Cross, 734 Church Street. We've lived here for approaching 30 years. I first would like to address the gentleman's comments about our movement, our places that we went to put signs, or not signs, to put, flyers on doors. I mean, it was 3 of us, so we couldn't make it through the whole town. We tried to stay as focused as possible. The one area that we did get all the way through was Heartland Heights, and we really did have a fantastic turnout when we had a park and sign position. So we tried to get around, and like I said, we have had a lot of negative comments about us picking and choosing whose houses we wanted to go to. That was not our intention at all. 3 people, 2 feet per person, and it was a lot of walking, but worth it. I guess the word that I want to use for everybody to remember is integrity. I don't want a power plant. I don't know what the benefit is. I don't know if anybody knows what the benefit is. We went from $1.6 million in revenue to about $200,000 to $300,000 in revenue. That's a huge difference. For all the opposition, I think that proves that there's a lot more questions to be answered. The next thing is to kind of address the council. You guys all live here. You all have your opinions. But when it comes time to vote for something, what are you here for? To represent the people. So when you do that, take all of this into consideration. We don't want to be industrial county. And if we go forward, whether we get the power plant or not, there's still a door that's gonna open that can't be closed. If we knew more about what could go in there, obviously something Alliant, because they own that land. Number 2, Alliant owns or controls and surrounds the majority of the town. Between ITC, Trevaro, what's going to be on the corner. So inevitably, they feel that they have control over us. All we want to do is have you guys, as you represent us, let them know. We live here. This is our home sweet home. This is our farm strong community. And we don't want something that's not going to be viable to benefit us going forward, all of us. You guys, just like us. So when you put your councilman's hats on, remember, you can have your opinion, but at that point, you're representing us. Thank you.
Kathy, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
And this goes to Rita too, because I know she was out and about signing signatures. When you were out doing the petition, did you mention the possible alternate sites that Alliant was possibly considering, for example, north of John the 23rd along Highway 30?
We didn't have that info at that time.
So do you understand some of the people's hesitation on petitions when you don't tell them incredibly important pieces of information, like it'll be built on the south side of Highway 30 to the northwest of John to the 23rd, possibly is an alternate location, or in the exact same spot as it was potentially going to be in Fairfax, just slightly to the east within the industrial park mega site as a possible alternate location? Did you mention any of that to people?
We didn't have all that information.
And you understand why we had hesitation on petitions like that when like some, I would say, pretty important people like that are left out? And the reason I asked that is because I have talked to some people on the petition that said that, and as soon as that information was given, their opinion went from against to either neutral or, you know, if it's gonna be built in that area, I'd rather economically benefit from it than not.
But do we really know what the benefit's gonna be?
From a financial dollar amount,
Mm-hmm.
well, there's obviously different numbers, but it's a
Well,
utility
yeah.
excise. There's not a chance, there will be a utility excise tax that is paid to Fairfax, it's not a chance. It will be if it is in the Fairfax boundary. It's not a chance, it's how much. So yes, to answer that question, yes, there is a economic benefit. Now, if you wanna argue against the EPA saying they're within standards or the potential, you know, harm is X or within safe limits or what that, you know, you can make an argument why they're wrong and you're right. I'm more than happy to hear that. But from listening to the informational meetings, again, I know people disagree with it. It wasn't as harmful as people believed. And I
No.
think that's why you saw the 18-17 split of people that were for versus against. I think it was not as one-sided as we believe. And another reason that sometimes we're hesitant on petitions, and she might be able to correct me, but out of all the signatures, was it 75 people were non-residents or 25? I know that's a big jump.
The papers that Rita submitted, just 8 were non,
I know she did more than
212 were residents.
Did they have a Fairfax address?
Some of them did not, some of them did, but doesn't necessarily make them a resident.
I don't know who we would have had to bring them through that, so.
I was on that petition and I am outside the city of Fairfax.
We had 126 from Torrey, and then I had 212, that's 330. And we only had like 8 of mine that were not residents. And I did speak with Emily Kaiser yesterday from Alignment. We are actively evaluating multiple potential locations as part of our site selection process for the proposed combined cycle project. While no final decision has been made, we have deprioritized the original Fairfax site. Our priority remains identifying a site that delivers long-term value and cost effectiveness for our customers. To protect the integrity of this process and avoid influencing market dynamics, that goes to your question, we can't read the future and we can't speak for Alliant because this is all private. That could impact project costs. Confidentiality is essential at this stage. Once a location is selected, we look forward to engaging with the public through the established Iowa Utilities Commission process, which provides several opportunities for input and transparency. Part of this is just common sense. People don't.
That's corporate talk for what we're gonna do, what's best for a line, not resident.
Right, if they have deprioritized.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with that. I do acknowledge that they have the prior to the Fairfax location.
Yeah.
But to suggest that that email therefore means we're gonna worry about Fairfax's residents or their concern for contaminants. That's, you know, that's just corporate bullshit, I'm not gonna lie. They're gonna do what's best for a line, and if that means building it up there and putting the entire town downwind of the plan, that's what they're gonna do. They don't care if it affects Dan's home value. If it discourages further development of the future phases of Heartland Heights, because I think we're in phase 1 or 2. Three. They just don't go potentially all the way, that development potentially goes all the way to just the south of Heartland Heights. And all the way to west to Morgan Valley Road, if I'm not mistaken. And the reason I mention that is you're asking what we do what we think is best for the Fairfax residents. If they build a plant there, and again, I'm not saying, giving it as an example. Who wants to build a home there then?
Right, but this is hyperbolic. Like, it's like what ifs. You see, we've got to do right now what's best for our citizens and for our community. Because we can play this game all day. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that's the decision we make, is what if we don't build it Fairfax, which I'm not saying we are, it's like you said, they've deprioritized.
Right.
There's nothing to stop them to build it just slightly to the east on Cedar Rapids. Then all the contaminants that people are concerned about, they don't go anywhere, they're still right here.
I will say this, the Lynn County supervisor that lives in Stony Point, she is not for it, so I think that's more power. For our residents in this area, it's not just Fairfax, we are a community. I grew up in Cedar Rapids.
I know she can say that all day, but if it gets built in Cedar Rapids, she doesn't have a say. It's the Cedar Rapids Council that has a say.
But how?
Okay, Kathy, I think Rita used some of your time, so
Well, I'd ask the
And
question.
he
about
didn't
the
get there, yeah.
Look, and I understand what you're saying, I totally understand what you're saying. But as we went out and talked to people and found the heart of people, that isn't what they want. So part of what I'm trying to say is, as you guys vote for anything pertaining to Fairfax and our growth and whatever, we hope that you use your opinion, but you put on the council hat and vote with what we really think is gonna be best for the community.
Okay,
Thank you.
anyone else like to speak? No.
When I was at the last meeting,
Matt, can you, please, your name is
Trailer, 246 Park Street, Fairfax. And when I signed the petition, I went down to the park and signed it, they didn't come to my home. But what threw me at the last meeting, when I was told, you don't really know the financial amount of anything with the Lion until they sign the contract. Is that correct? That's what I was told. Here at the last meeting.
Cindy, can you expand on that, how that utility tax is created?
Right, so there was misconception, the 1.6, that we never said that was coming from this plant. That was a number that I got off of Marshalltown's current budget, that's what they collect in the current fiscal year. And I made a statement when we put that out, that I have no idea how much of that is Alliance or whatever. So that is completely, that's not how we presented it. The about 300,000 is what the math came up with, information from Alliant on how the state of Iowa calculates utility excise tax. I think what she's referring to is that we wouldn't know the total benefit is until they pick a spot, they're not going to know where they're getting the water. You know, is there a sewer lift station needed? Are they gonna want softer water? Are they gonna participate in that? Are they gonna have street participation? Those are all the kinds of things that cities everywhere work out, why they work out a development agreement with a project that's picked a spot and is in the fine details of the agreement with the governing body of that area, okay? So, I mean, we never know those details until we get to the development agreement, and we'll never get to a development agreement if we say that a power plant's not even a possibility, because then they're, not even going to consider. And even if you put it in there, we wouldn't get to a development agreement unless they said, okay, we're pursuing this site and it's within the Fairfax jurisdiction. Is that clear?
Does that answer your question, then?
No, because at the last meeting, they said until the contract is signed,
The development
nobody
agreement.
will know how much money Fairfax is gonna make or lose or whatever.
That's
And
what
I'm sorry, my parents. But that's not how you run a business. They ran a trucking company for years, and they always knew what the cost was, where the money was going in, where the money was going out. Their business was never just blindly saying, oh, we're gonna do this, and later on, we'll find out how much Hummer's gonna pay us. Just like any job that I take, I know before I do it, what's expected of me and what amount of money I will make.
Again, that's worked out in the development agreement. I think you're thinking that we agree to everything, and once everything's built, then we decide. Then we find out. That's not how it works.
That's how it was put at the last thing I was at a couple weeks ago.
I do have a question. So we're talking about we would get like 300, give or take thousand for
utility excise.
utility excise. So do we still get property tax on that location, or does that go away with this tax?
Utilities are
Exempt.
are not assessed property tax valuation from the county assessor like other property.
So that's.
It goes to the state of Iowa and they have a formula and for energy generation plants, it's based on how much energy they generate.
Okay.
And so the math that Alliance showed us was based on their estimate of how many megawatts they plan to produce once this plant is built, wherever it's built. And, you know, I don't know that they're in their final design either, but I think they have a pretty good idea. of how
People
that-
ask about property tax, I'm like, yeah.
No, there's no property tax.
Utility excise tax, and then it would be anything that would be in the development agreement, as you know, road improvements, there's water and sewer improvements, those types of things.
And that's not the only excise tax they pay. The Marshalltown plant, I think it was $1.6 million. So that 350,000 would be the portion Fairfax gets. The school still gets their portion, the county gets their portion, the sheriff's department gets their portion. However, taxes are split up, the pieces of the pie.
Right, when they showed us the map, they were showing the total levy, and we talked about that, only 8/10 of that is our portion, which is
Right.
about a third, and that's how we came up with the 300.
In a way, it's like property tax, it's just. It's
Different
calculated in
formula.
a singular manner, so like in fact, that's your single county level.
Right.
Levy school, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, except it's within the excise tax of the power generation instead of the property tax.
Yeah.
I get it, yeah, nobody, somebody asked me, like, we didn't talk about it, so I don't know.
Where did the $350,000 number come from?
We used Marshalltown's plant number, or no, the
We used,
megawatts they plan on using
yeah, and then the state formula of how they calculate excise tax
at 810, right?
at 8/10.
Yeah.
The city staff created that number.
No, Lion did.
Alliant showed us the math and we had a discussion with them because they were showing the total levy. And so we discussed that ours is only the 8/10 and then we plugged in the 8/10. So it was an interactive discussion. And they got the formula from the state of Iowa, Department of Revenue.
Ms. Kaiser's on record as saying that they did not produce that $350,000. That's a fair question.
Yes, because
Yes,
they
that's right.
data, we applied the levy, and that's what the number came out. We didn't pull that out of our ass. By the way, that's Jay Hopkins asking questions that we didn't identify.
It is, I have a point of orders that Mr. Daly, you can file in these meetings all the time. I think that's disrespectful to address the figure of that.
I only say the F word once a year, so I think that's pretty good.
All right, audience, I talk to please. We will be abiding by our code of conduct, everyone. But anyone else, Terry, did you get the answer that you were looking for?
No. Did not.
Anyone else? We got a couple of days.
I'm Joey Lefevere. I live on Lefevere Road. I had to write this out. The one statement that keeps coming up is if we don't let Alliant build this plant here, they will do it just outside of our borders in our backyard, somewhere where we won't be getting the revenue. And it keeps coming back and it keeps coming back, and that's why you guys are thinking, oh, maybe we need to do this. So it's in the back of our minds, all of us. And I'm here today having a Fairfax address, but living just outside of the Fairfax township. But I live as close to this proposed place as probably anybody here. I am here to, let you know how this is impacting me, and I'm not for it. The airport also stepped out of their jurisdiction to Fairfax. And saying that it's negatively going to impact them. And so don't put it there. And we as a collective can do the same thing if this goes before Lake County or Cedar Rapids. We take our petition along with our Fairfax leaders and we say, no, this is too close to a densely populated area. the stand that we are making might not stop with this vote here tonight. Furthermore, if you vote this down and say no to this, I would hope that Fairfax's elected officials would continue to stand for the safety and the desire of their town and protect its borders. Even if Alliant attempts to put this plant just outside of our border, we still have a voice to be heard, and we still can influence how close it is built for Fairfax. Thank you.
Ken Khalil, 428 Ford Drive, Fairfax. A couple things, relocating possibly the plant, like that, better here. Who don't want to go to Martin? You're absolutely right. If you go over here, left here, who wants to live in a residential zone area right across the street? I guess there's that in right there. Also, does the city of Fairfax pay anything to Alliant now? For usage, like utilities or anything?
Sure, the city has
How
utility.
much is that? The last 6 months, it's been approximately $70,000. Well, you figure that's 6 months, so 1 year would be approximately $140,000. Now, if you take that $140,000 that we're paying on it, away from the $350,000 they say they're gonna give us, gonna knock back that amount for the beginning. So just something else to think about. Numbers are numbers. It starts off as, boy, that's a great big number. Down to reality of 25%. But now we're looking at that, and how much that now is really real. 1/6 maybe, that's all it amounts to. Then in the future, who wants to come here with that in their backyard, their front yard? Who knows, you know? Is it a good thing for Fairfield having money? Great. What's that cost, the city, the way it looks in people's eyes? I guess that's all I have to say about the whole thing. And the fact they got the numbers are from Fairfax facts, expenditures, Alliant bills, the single unit, and the 5 boards and individuals, and all from the Fairfax facts, from April for the last 6 months. So, thank you very much.
Anyone else from the public would like to speak? But not quite. Okay. In just a minute, we're gonna move on to item number 12, which is the second reading of the ordinance, amending the zoning ordinance to allow power plants as special exceptions. The mayor doesn't get a chance to talk very often, but tonight the mayor is going to address the council. Council, for the past several weeks, we've been provided with information from a variety of sources regarding a potential Alliant Energy power plant in Fairfax. Additionally, I've engaged in numerous face-to-face conversations with residents, both for and against. Here are a few of their remarks. I'm for it if it means we get a police department. Thanks, Mike, for bringing that up. We just moved here less than a year ago. If we had known that a power plant was even a possibility, we wouldn't have. I'm for it if it will lower our property taxes. It won't impact us as we both are already sick. We moved here from Cedar Rapids to get away from this type of thing. Isn't there something better that could come here instead? There's a lot to consider. Alliant and its affiliates have been good community partners. They will probably build this facility somewhere close by. Our fire department may be called upon to respond to this facility if anywhere in their jurisdiction and could incur additional costs doing so. There's potential for $350,000 annual tax revenue minus expenses that may be incurred. However, many residents have expressed health concerns and lots of small town culture. So what's the best approach to address this? Rather than Fairfax doing all of this on our own, I'd like to see a partnership created between Fairfax, the Lynn County Supervisors, and the Eastern Iowa Airport to develop a countywide plan that is mutually beneficial. I believe that everyone in this room is committed to building a thriving community. As your mayor, I feel that recruiting new small businesses and offering a variety of housing options will help us accomplish that goal. Who wouldn't like a sandwich shop and maybe even a grocery store supported by additional and connected residential neighborhoods? We were elected by residents to represent the residents. I'm hearing that the majority indicate they're opposed to a power plant and heavy industrial facilities in general. Rather than ignore their voices, I hope you reflect them in your vote. So now we'll move on to item number 12. Which is the second reading. Go on to the second reading. Item number 12. So I'm going to consider a motion to approve the second reading of adopting the change to ordinance 123 to allow for power plants by special exception. We have a person I'd like, okay, this one's top for it. Yes.
Good evening, council, mayor, citizens. Siting this power plant may be the biggest decision that Fairfax has had to make. We gathered data and facts, we sought out professional input from Iowa DNR, the county health department. We know that the FAA will not step in because this plant will have no impact on current airport operation. You've heard speculation, opinions, and non-professional air quality input from few residents. There's been a one-sided door-to-door campaign to spread fear, rumors, misinformation, and all the while gathering signatures against an industrial partner. The opposition has told stories of unsafe emissions, increased illness, property value declines, noise pollution, air safety issues, decreased local business, and explosions. Who wouldn't pay attention to these dire warnings? But this type of fear-mongering is not a path forward for Fairfax. Facts are relevant now, more than ever. Professionalism is required, not panic. It is regional growth that demands this new generating facility. It is regional growth that demands this new generating station be built somewhere adjacent to or within Fairfax. Ignoring regional growth would not be in the best interest of this city. It is this regional growth that forced the city council to decide how Fairfax will address future land use decisions and annexations going forward. Fairfax has a shovel-ready industrial growth area, the Big Cedar Industrial Park, that has been annexed, planned, and established for this type of continued industrial growth. Big Cedar Industrial Park has been owned by Iowa Land and Building for over a decade. No one should be surprised by this growth, especially city leaders. Current and past Fairfax city leaders have planned for, engaged in, and helped promote the Big Cedar Industrial Park and its continued industrial growth. Alliant Energy has identified this site as the most economical site for all end users. Alliant serves 100% of regional customers. Airport, as Rita said, is 43%. Everyone here tonight, everyone in the region, and everyone in Lynn County uses and demands power. We already forgotten the derecho. Lynn County does not have an industrial district currently that allows power generating stations. Only this council can determine if Fairfax will continue to be involved in these discussions concerning future land use to our immediate south and or north. These are the decisions that will have a lasting impact today and long into the future. Regional growth will continue, and Fairfax needs to be present, in attendance, and well aware of all regional decisions being considered in the area. Regional growth could be an economic opportunity for the city, or this decision could remove Fairfax from the regional conversations going forward. You are voting on relinquishing Fairfax's voice on land use plan in the region. Fairfax leaders are elected, appointed, and tasked with becoming informed and deciding on the best path forward for this community. We have gathered the facts and data. We have listened to opinions. We have asked all the questions. Because sooner or later you have to evaluate all the information and make the best possible decision given the circumstances. Fairfax is not a bubble. We are not an isolated farm community that some would have you believe. We cannot control the regional growth or regional demands that growth puts on our community. We see that with the data centers. What we can control is the economic opportunities that are offered to the community. We can continue to control growth with smart planning and a continued regional presence in land use policies and decisions. Voting against this ordinance tonight forces Alliant Energy to site a power plant outside of the Fairfax city limits on our perimeter. Voting no raises rates for all electrical users, all of us. Voting no only removes the city from the conversation as to the final location of this power plant. Fairfax is planned for the current economic growth that is here. For more than 10 years, we have known that the industrial growth will be located in the southeastern quadrant of Fairfax. I strongly recommend council that you vote tonight to follow through on the work that previous city councils and planning and zoning boards have passed on to this generation of city leaders. Remember everyone, this is not a final decision. This vote only keeps the possibility on the table for further discussion with Alliant Energy and other regional planners. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Now we're on to item number 12. Consider a motion to approve the second reading.
Dan has comments, I've got comments, we just closed the public hearing, we're not,
There wasn't a public hearing, but go ahead.
whatever the discussion.
Discussion.
Well, we're still discussing.
Okay. Go for it.
I'll go first, so. So. Yeah, just taking all the comments in from both sides, obviously what Joanne, you said, what you said, Chris. I am pretty confident that even with the airport talking about the current runways and the proposed, that this is likely a waste of time. Because at some point, the FAA and the state are gonna step in. The report that they had out there did comment on existing runways, but even with proposed one, they will have authority. So just saying that.
Why do you think that? Even though Martin Hunt said that the FAA doesn't have. Just out of curiosity.
It's what I've read and talking to people outside the city have said that too. And I have heard there are eyeballs watching us. That they don't want to flex anything until we proceed, and then they will. To be fair, if they will. But. You know, additionally, this town's existed for 90 years without heavy industry. And someone shows up with a sack of cash and we're going to sell our identity as a town just to get a paycheck. The paycheck sounds nice. Individually, to any individual sounds like a lot of money. But to put it in perspective, what's 76 gonna cost? Well, shy of 5 million, right? But we've already looked at paying for it, so that's about 15 years of a plan, a 30-year plan. Unless they're going to leave neighboring site undeveloped, in 30 years they're gonna build another plant, which wouldn't be in Fairfax anyway. So it's a short gain of financial impact. I get the comments of we have to hear the proposal. I'm sorry, we have to pass the zoning to hear the proposal. It does sound very backwards. There's I think better ways of doing that. And if we think that a line is going to pay for infrastructure, that certainly should be before we look at zoning. So now we're running an assumption that they're going to pay for the roads, they're going to pay for utilities, they may or may not. Or any company, like once you change zoning, someone could just show up and say, hey, we want to put a power plant in there. So I really don't think we're gonna see any of the money in the long run. And
you know, I understand about sound, health risks, that some people are saying it's, I don't say health risks are, it's not what I'm trying to say. It's a bad way of phrasing that, but, you know, the health risks are minimal, to non-existent. Sound is one thing. You know, I would think that, yes, we have data centers, they're gonna have emissions, we have light industrial that has emissions. But we don't really need to add to it. So, and I keep up my, so. It's true. It's true.
One thing I wanted to mention about the airport, and I'll do this without swearing because I don't want to offend anybody's delicate sensibilities.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is Marty Lenz is a liar. Cannot stress that enough. Marty Lenz is a liar. The airport commission, that report is baloney. And the reason I say that is 2 to 3 months ago, Marty Lenz came in here talking about thermal uplift, talking about flume, steam flume, is that the official term? Anyway, talking about how terrible 2 exhaust towers would be for the airport. And so I asked him point blank, if that's true, where is your letter of opposition to the Google data center, since it will have 32 60-foot steam towers producing significantly more flume than 2 exhaust towers ever would. And he was adamant that he sent that letter to Cedar Rapids in opposition. That was the airport's position. Spoiler alert, that was a lie. He never sent any letter to Cedar Rapids. He is a liar. And then next month he came and I asked, where is that letter? And what you know, oops, I was mistaken, which is code for he lied. Then I said, in the commission's report about potential impacts of the airport, are you going to include the 32 60-foot steam stacks or the Google data center? She was adamant, absolutely, yes, we are. That report was released. Who thinks the Google data center was mentioned at all in that report? No, it was not at all. Where the steam stacks are approximately going would have significantly more impact on the airport than we ever would. Period. So I just want to get out of the way. Please do not talk about the airport commission, because that's a load of malarkey. Lastly, I know the airport, Alliance is deprioritized us as a potential site. And I want to be proven wrong that they end up building it east of Cedar Rapids or significantly far away. But if Cedar Rapids, if you had to personify them, they would step over their dying mother to pick up a nip. They will do what is best for Cedar Rapids. They do not care about Fairfax residents' petitions. They do not care about Fairfax Township residents' concerns. If it is financially beneficial to them, darn the torpedoes, full speed ahead is what Cedar Rapids will do. With that said, I personally, with this ordinance, until the line comes back to us, saying that they do want to reconsider Fairfax as a possible location, I feel it would probably be in our best interest to table this for now. And have no vote period. I'm not saying yes. I'm not saying no. Because I want to make sure the residents understand, if we allow a variance on the height restrictions, that commits us to nothing. Do we understand that? That all that allows it is the potential to them to come to us with a proposal. Which is a proposal we can reject.
That's the next item on the agenda, Mike, we haven't got that far yet.
I'm giving it a thought. But that's what I'm trying to make sure everybody understands tonight, because I know I'll mention Rita, because her and I talked about it quite a bit, texted each other. And I know she's against it all the time. But these variances does not commit Fairfax, and it simply says we're interested. And to Dan's point, I try and think of it in a way that's easy to explain. Health impact studies would be obviously something that would be as part of this process, like an actual impact study. I'm not asking a line to do one because just like the airport, it would be biased in their favor. So whether it's the Iowa EPA or whomever, We want someone to do a health defense. That's just one of the many steps before we ever get to a development agreement that gets into excise or utility excise tax, the benefits, pros and cons, all of that. So this vote wouldn't even be us agreeing to a plan, and that's what not a big prioritize. That's simply whether or not we would allow a height variance. And I know Dan thinks that the FAA or someone would step in to try and squash us if we prevent it. Well, maybe Cedar Rapids Airport should hold their head out their fourth point of contact about building an airport runway closer to residential in the city, town, and the city is a bad idea. So in 50 years, that was another lie Marty said, he's collaborated with Fairfax, that's a bunch of manure. Not once in 15 years of this plan have they ever came to Fairfax. They did it once when Bernie was still the mayor. And they weren't there to collaborate. They were there to dictate to us what was happening. They didn't want our input. They didn't want us to be part of the commission on it. They were just saying, this is what we're doing. If you don't like it, tough. So I don't care what you're at all. I want to do what's ultimately best for you.
So the ordinance that we're discussing is the second reading. To amend our ordinance to allow power plants as a special exception. Mike, did you make a motion earlier, or
It was to essentially table it for now.
is that an official motion?
I think so, until they come back to it. But I don't see any reason moving forward.
Yeah, but Robert's rules, if you table some, you have to take action on the next month or it dies. Am I correct?
Not quite sure how this happens when we've already done, it's past the first reading.
Well, there's a difference between tabling and no action.
Right.
And can we do either of those things if you've already approved with one reading?
Yes, you could do either. If you table it, I think you have to formally make a motion to take it off the table.
Right.
I don't know that it has to be at the next meeting. We do lots of things that aren't strictly according to Robert's rules.
Sure, I would like to do something that's official, so if that means we have to table it. And we can table it, and if we want to bring it back, we have to make a motion to bring it back. That is what I would like to do.
So that's your motion.
Yes,
So in order to entertain that motion, we would need a second.
I'll second, but I wanna look into that if we gotta bring it back on the agenda.
do you want a clarification in the motion that, or in this motion, that we have to make sure it, if whether the language is tabled or no action?
I'm okay with tabling it, but I wanna look, and if we take no action, don't untable it next month and it essentially goes away, that way you have our next month's agenda to do whatever we have to do. So leave it as a second motion.
So you want to leave it open so we can make a modification to this motion?
If we gotta bring it back to next agenda to do whatever procedure we gotta do.
I can tell you that the Code of Iowa doesn't say cities have to follow Robert's rules of order.
All right,
They just say if you do an ordinance, you have to do 3 readings or wait to, and an ordinance is a law once it's passed, and in order to suspend, you have to have a majority. I mean, they do things like that, but they do not say we have to follow Robert's rules of order.
And the reason I do that is because we've been deprioritized.
right.
So I don't see, I view this as a moot point, and I wanted citizens feedback, I didn't wanna jump on anybody's toes and say, hush, we're gonna table this, I wanna hear their feedback. But, and until a line comes back, unless staff has an opinion, I mean, I wanna hear their opinion too, I don't see a point on moving on this at all currently. Now, if someone said they wanted to build a giant windmill on the corner of Wright Brothers and Lefferts Road next month. You know why I'm saying that. I'd be all for that, but for now, in all seriousness, I would make that motion. Table it and take no action.
Do we have a motion on the floor to table
Second.
and a second, so I need a roll call, Tom.
Aye. Aye.
Okay,
Well,
Don't lie.
so that takes care of item number 12, has been tabled until the next meeting, and then you'll determine your course of action at that point.
If there is, I would consider why.
Yeah, right.
Okay, item number 13.
Before we move forward, do people out sitting in the crowd understand what's going on? Who said no?
No, what does that mean for the next meeting?
That means we're not gonna do anything.
Tonight.
But what does that mean for the next meeting?
We're gonna find out to make sure it's okay to do that and take no action. And so if we find out that tabling it requires an action to either further table it or do something next month, then we will do that. If we don't have to take any action, if we don't have to specify it, or I don't know what term I'm trying to use.
Take official action.
Take official action, then it. we
It'll
won't
be,
discuss
it'll
it.
be tabled forever.
The only
Until-
time, don't say forever, the only thing we would do is if a line goes around and says, wow, all these other locations are terrible. Maybe we want Fairfax after all, then it would require a motion by the council, to bring this ordinance back to consider. And that's what I was gonna say, Dan, sorry, I'm getting way off track here. People were asking, well, why isn't Lion doing some of these studies? Why isn't Lion looking further into this until after we pass the ordinance? It's kind of like a personal property wanting to build, I don't know, a pool, a structure, something on their property. But there's not even an ordinance allowing it. So why would you go through all the legwork of like an impact study if it's like a pool, so you don't want to affect your neighbors, or size restrictions, something like that? You're not gonna do all of those steps and spend the money until you find out that you can't even possibly build that. That's when you would go through that. So that's why those steps are like they are.
They will do those studies, but they have to
They
have a
would do all of that.
specific site before
Yes,
they start.
they
that
would
process.
do all of that, but they're not gonna do it until they have a site set. And that they know they could do that site if we change the ordinance allowed. So I don't really think it's backwards. I think it's more of, why would you as a private citizen or a company or whomever spend that kind of money? Not even knowing, A, if that site is secured, B, if ordinance is within that community allowed.
They can't do that next step. They have to specify a site. The next step with the Lion will be at the state level. But the site cannot be in Fairfax right now because it's not within our zone. So moving forward, when they identify a site, their next step can be at the state level. The county will have to go through the same steps that you guys are deciding right now. As far as allowing it within a county industrial zone, they'll have to make changes to their zoning before a Lion could identify a site in the county. County supervisors meet once a week.
So, and correct me if I'm wrong, what that would basically mean is Alliant would not be able to build a power plant in Fairfax that's rotating it. Would not be allowed to build it in Lynn County, but that does not prevent Cedar Rapids from going to the annexation board, annexing that parcel in, because they can build those within Cedar Rapids.
So what if someone else comes knocking at our door, wanting to build something in that area?
Like what? It had to follow
Something
current
heavy
ordinance.
industrial.
It had to follow current
The
ordinance.
ordinance says.
So nothing currently is zone heavy industrial. Nothing currently in Fairfax is zone heavy industrial.
It's only light
We
industrial,
have some light industrial.
and that's why it's only light industrial.
And
If they come back knocking on our door, is the council gonna consider this again?
possibly,
And we start all over?
No, so you have the first reading. right?
and we have the first, we pick up where we left off.
So the first reading, regardless of the future councils, would honor that first reading?
That, I don't know, I'd have to clarify that with the rules on how many, if there's a time. I don't have the answer. I don't know.
I would think it would still pass for a legal counsel.
I don't have the answer.
Well, if they disagree with it, they wouldn't pass it.
I mean,
They would
if
take it off the
they just say
table.
no, or they never motioned it,
Yeah.
take it off the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think you were at the meeting, that I was at. There's one of the concerns of residents, well, if you build one power plant, what's to stop a second? And I just said point blank, as soon as Lion built their power plant, I would change the ordinance, removing height restrictions. It would grandfather in that location, and you wouldn't be able to change it. You wouldn't be able to build another power plant because the ordinance would be changed, no longer allowing that variance on the height restriction.
And remember, if you go back and add it to the special exception, that still doesn't say they can build it on any specific address.
Yeah.
They would still have to go through rezoning.
Rezoning.
And
After
the
they
Board of
get-
Adjustment.
So say,
After they
so
get
say
the
the site that they want, we rezoned to heavy industrial, and granted the variance, everything went through and it was built, that's just hypothetical. And say another, like Lynn County rec came through and said, well, we wanna build a power plant now too. We don't have to do anything, we'd say, no, we're not gonna rezone another parcel to heavy industrial, we're not interested. Or we're not gonna grant a variance on this one. We have to do it, to say no, and part of that is why I was talking about changing the ordinance, because that would say, well, sorry, not an ordinance, not in ours, we change. There's a lot we can, just because we allow it on one parcel, doesn't mean we have to. All major heavy industrial. Special exception on a case by case is a better way to look at it. On a case by case, maybe to add in those words, special exception, case by case. For power generation. Right. Anything for power.
Well, I think there's 5 things on it. The gradual exception.
And
This was
yeah,
gonna be
it's
before.
a big picture, special exception is for any topic, whatever that. Whatever it applies to, in this case, it's the industrial setting. Is what the discussion's all about. On a case
I
by case.
understand what you're saying, I'm just still a little concerned of, like you said, we'll pick up where we left off, but that still leaves us sitting out here just like, well, we'll figure that out when we get there. But, you know, it just feels as though it's just left open-ended, even though it sounds like we're tabling this topic, and I hope that it's a final done deal. And I don't
There's nothing.
feel like it's there.
There's nothing. To what was said earlier, there's no, all the information that's been put out is all the information that we have. It's all put out on the civic web, and I hope you're familiarized yourself with that, because that's what we're looking at. No different than anybody else can see. There is no done deal back behind. But I can honestly say that. Anybody wants to disagree, they have their opinion, but there's no done deals here. Or we wouldn't be here, right? It would
I
have
think that's
passed
what we're
second,
trying to
third.
figure out.
Well, I can only tell you what I'm, what I see.
Right, from that, so it is a done deal.
What's that?
You're saying if it got voted no, then you could ask for a reconsideration.
As far as a done deal,
The reference earlier was that this power plant going in Fairfax was a done deal. That's what I'm talking.
I thought you were talking about since there was no action, the decision, yes or no, on the power plant hasn't been decided,
No,
or the zoning.
No, Tom was referring to customers, good God. Residents thinking that this is already a done deal,
Right.
everything's just a formality at this point. Many steps.
Chris, can you briefly explain what the steps are hypothetically? So that way people can understand all the different steps that are required in order for this to start digging. Okay, this is a
In order
hypothetical.
for a line to build a power generating station in any jurisdiction that doesn't already have it in their zoning, that jurisdiction has to add it to their zoning first.
That's step one.
That's what we were just working
Not
on.
there yet. Okay,
Once it's in the jurisdiction's zoning, then it goes, a line identifies the site within that jurisdiction and goes to the state board of utilities for all the state sign-offs on it, which I don't know a whole lot
did you
about.
guys hear what he's explaining, Rick? So that's step two.
So then the state would weigh in on it, whether to Dan's point, the FAA came in and said absolutely not, or the airport commission has power that makes this go away, whatever, that's out of our control. If they pass that criteria, then they would come back to the city of Fairfax, Cedar Rapids, Lynn County, wherever this happens to be, and you have to rezone that property.
How long does that state take?
They told us, I think anywhere from 8 months to a year.
Okay,
Depending
step
on-
two.
There's several levels of public input that they have to go through with the state utility board, in which any residents can show up, comment. I don't remember the exact reports that they have to do, but there's several. Air quality, property value impact statements, all this layers of information, they have to get the state utility board. While they're considering approving this license, I think it's called, and whatever. Once that's established and cleared through the state, that they come back to that jurisdiction for rezoning. Let's say that happens in Fairfax, it would get rezoned. That has to start with the planning and zoning board. They have to be the first ones to look at a rezoning.
So that's step 3, right?
Yeah,
Rezoning,
Yeah.
sure.
it's several steps into it.
Okay.
And that board makes a recommendation to you folks, the council. Council then weighs in on it, votes on it. Because this is a special exception within our zoning, then it would have to go to the Board of Adjustment, which is the final decision maker on this thing. So in the end, each and every one of the citizen-led boards would get a vote on this. Some of them at 2 levels, P and Z and council would get essentially 2 votes. First one was changing the zoning ordinance, the second one being the rezoning. And I do want to make one comment because I think city staff and myself were dragged through some really rough water here tonight because we're doing our job. A line came to us. Cynthia ran the numbers as best she could. She's not perfect. None of us are. You know, I know it's hard to believe, guys, but I know she's made a mistake once. I just want to comment that, you know, we don't have, you know, if we would have held this back and signed disclosure statements like Cedar Rapids did, and it comes out 4 years later, how would these citizens feel? We did the right thing. We've been feeding you guys the information as it came in. And we continue to try to do the right thing on a day-to-day basis, including pointing out things with the airport that are inconsistent. That's our job. That's what you have us here for. You know, our recommendation is our opinion. When we recommend something, we've looked at all this stuff more than you guys. You guys, this is what we do. 40 hours a week, sit here and read through this stuff. I've read that airport commission twice, cover to cover. And I really feel like the staff got dragged to the mud on this for doing their job by the citizens because the other cities, Palo, Cedar Rapids, left the citizens out of it. They signed a non-disclosure, they went behind closed doors, they did the deal, and then they released it. We did the opposite. And yet, I haven't heard a whole lot of ramifications on Palo or Cedar Rapids about the data centers or the new thing. So let's put this into perspective. We are doing what the citizens have asked for, what you guys have asked for, and that's to be fully informed, start to finish.
So, ma'am, what was your name again? I'm
My
sorry.
name's Chris Myers, I live on 160 Skyview Avenue.
Thank you. I'm glad you're asking questions because that time frame that he had, Chris just gave us. There's a lot of information there and a lot of steps that have to happen. And any way along those steps, it can be eliminated, it can be squashed, it can be said, you know, whatever it is. But I just want to make sure everybody understands all these steps, and it's a long process. Just the one to go to the state is approximately a year in order for that to be approved by the state of Iowa. So there is nothing here that says that we've been discussing for the last 6 weeks, 2 months about, it's all about the special exception being placed. That's all that this is about. Yes.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say that I'd like to change my vote to a no because the amount of confusion, I think we just need to push it to an actual vote, just end it.
This was my question. There was a motion on the table.
If a no is voted, does this still go to a third reading?
No.
No.
Okay, it shuts it down. It's done, okay.
And then, Chris, you didn't even talk about getting into development agreements or anything for that.
No, we can't get into a development agreement until
That's just another,
Another step.
is a development.
Oh, yeah.
So let's say when.
Months and months of any of that stuff. We're so far in front of this with that conversation that it's not even realistic.
We're talking about costs, you know,
You know,
say.
what streets are they gonna pave? Yeah, that's 8 months, a year down the road on this thing.
And they say, you know, oh, the road's gonna cost $5 million, basically 76 from Lefebvre to our city boundary. And if we go to them and say, well, you want this plant, you're gonna do a 50% participation cost. They say no, I'm like, oh, okay, guess you don't want the plant. I mean, there's a long road. I know you're concerned, I totally, your concern is that we're gonna, but
the initial steps continue taking us down that path. I
Not
think
right
it's
now,
important-
plus.
No,
important just to establish where we're all at right now.
yeah, right now we have stopped at step one and it is not moving forward.
Protocol question, Cynthia, I don't know the answer to this. At what point Dan suggested he would like to change his vote, or can he still do that?
I do not think so, but I guess I'm not sure where
Before the next item, I can.
the vote was taken. I don't know.
Before the next
We still
item,
have another item on the agenda.
I don't know.
we haven't got to
I
the,
don't.
so we haven't moved on to the next item, so we're still on this item.
All right, now whatever
Oh, are
the council tells me to write
I
down
don't care if he says no.
No, and I understand there was already a motion.
and a vote.
There would be, yes, there would be 4 to 1.
With a
but-
motion and a vote to table.
Right.
So we have to take it off the table.
Let's not,
We have to move.
No, I think we haven't moved on yet.
Let's not do that, let's just, it passed 4-1 to table it,
Okay,
and now we're moving on.
okay. So instead of 5-0, it's 4-1.
I have a quick question and just one comment regarding the FHA, that's okay.
No,
Joking.
Go ahead, Rita.
The question is, will the city continue to be transparent? Because Chris was just saying, you know, we could just go behind your back, blah, blah, blah.
I said we did not.
I just mean,
okay,
so they did to Cedar Rapids.
okay, but that was.
So what I'm saying is, are you going to continue to be transparent and let us know you are actively pursuing a line or a line contacts you?
And I'll answer that question.
Thank you.
Rita, since June, when this first went to P and Z, there has been nothing but transparency. I can't think of one reason not to continue to be forthcoming with all information.
And that's what I wanna know. The other
And
thing is,
even, and I do wanna say that I'm disappointed that you would even say that, because we've shown nothing but transparency in giving you all the information from day one. There's no reason not to think that will ever stop.
I guess I don't feel like I've been treated that well, maybe by the city administrator. And something's been attacked,
Okay.
so that's just my
Okay.
own personal. Real quick, the Gazette stated that a line position, it says those concerns were supported, if you're talking about the height towers. It was published in the Gazette, those concerns were supported by a study conducted by a Canadian engineering company.
Well, there's your
That
call.
looked at the airport's proximity to the proposed location. I'm just telling you, this was in the Gazette. And
Yep.
there is proof to, because the data towers, those are not 190 to
They're all,
200.
we're talking about thermal uplift and bloom.
Right,
I'm not
those are
specifically about the height.
But those are small, this is, thank you, I appreciate it.
That article was based on ordinances as they were at that time, which they had, nothing's changed. That's what that article was based on, what the ordinances were. That's what that Canadian company based that on, which is the accurate information. That's all true. But it was based on what it was at that time, and still is, and still is.
Okay, anything else? 'Cause next, we're gonna talk about setting a public hearing date regarding our maximum height that we have in place at the moment. Are we ready to move to that?
Take no action on it.
There's no reason. Wait, are we ready to move on to it? The MIT's, no, yeah, sorry.
No action.
Item number 13 is strictly setting a public hearing. Does the council want to set that date, or
I don't see a point in doing it right now and table that as well.
so no action
No
on
action,
item
need a
number
motion.
13?
If you just take no action, you don't.
No action on 13, okay. Okay. Item number 14. Consider a resolution concerning the Eastern Line and Elmwood's future plans. Chris, you developed this one, let's talk about this.
This is just a resolution to address the concerns with, what came out of the Eastern Iowa Airport as far as the future runway impacts to Fairfax. This is a way to rebut what's come out of that as a city, let them know that we understood what they said and we understand the impacts of the community. Any questions?
I can say as a resident, I'm strongly opposed of an airport being put on the north side of Williams Boulevard, closer to Fairfax. And if you look back 2 meetings ago when Marty Wentz was here, he stated, and I don't remember if it was 50 or 51%. Cedar Rapids Airport does 50 to 51% of the cargo business for the state of Iowa. Adding that runway gives them more cargo planes, and he used the word Airbus. And my comment to him then was, Marty, I don't know anything about planes, but I do know Airbuses are big. Now, here's my perception of that runway being a quarter mile from Fairfax. An Airbus taking off at 5 in the morning, it's not gonna be at noon, because these Airbuses have cargo, they have to get somewhere. Think FedEx, right? You gotta get to wherever their hub is at. Okay? So they're taking off and they're heading right overhead. I'm not for that. And there's a lady that was here at that same time, and she's a pilot, independent pilot. She was sitting right underneath that max capacity load 95 something. And she said, if that runway goes in, they can't come from the south because it inhibits the current runway. She says where it would come in would be from this way, all the way around and land it. I don't want that for any resident of Fairfax. None. Zero. Now, I'll also say that there's some media that was out there that after that meeting, it was posted that the power plant would add to the de-icing. And Marty said he has to make an $8,000 decision to de-ice planes or to de-ice the runways. That's because of ADM and the moisture vapor that is going from the north to the south. Now, to what Mike said, he had 32 Google towers, 60 feet high, they're water cooling base. That heat was put indirectly off him. He's trying to take heat off the airport. It's because of the funding, they don't want anything in this area, but I think that's wrong. It's the funding. Now that he's got 32 more Google cooling towers to deal with, that's the bigger problem here. And I think that's been put a black eye. And my opinion is I am way against any airport runway put on the north side. Go to the south, but not on the north, being close to where Fairfax, and then it impacts everything south of us.
So is that a motion, Tom, to adopt this resolution?
Yes, that's my motion.
I think it's important that all the people that are opposed to the power plant are just as vociferous in their opposition to the airport. Because at least the exhaust towers are regulated by the EPA. The pollutants that come out of the airport are not regulated. People that were concerned about the noise from the power plant, the decibel level of the planes landing on that northern runway are louder. Yes, you can argue that it's only 32 times a day as opposed to 24/7, but again, yeah, the decibel reader, when other people have gone there, the noise level is ambient. Will be significantly louder from planes there. And if you're concerned about future land use, economic development to the south, talking about people not wanting to develop by a power plant, no one wants to develop on the approach of a runway. Which I think.
It would be even worse because the Airbuses, the people that he's catering to, FedEx, UPS, that's 3 o'clock in the morning. So they, so many of your friends and neighbors work, they go out and unload planes, they can get insurance and things. That's not during the day, that's noise all, at night.
So yeah, I think we should move this resolution forward. I just hope residents that are against the power plant are all up in eye of Cedar Rapids and the airport's business.
Is that a second, Mike?
Sure was, it's a long-winded second.
Just real quick, so I don't wanna see the third runaway on this side of Wright Brothers, but I feel this resolution. It just feels premature, like we've given up trying to communicate with them at all.
Well, they haven't communicated with us in 47 years. I mean, I'm just disappointed that that your board has not come to Fairfax wanting to work together, right? Let's work together to find options.
I asked them to, I don't know how many years ago it was, I asked them to have representatives on that board to discuss that very thing.
Yeah. So keep that in mind. That's a selfish, what they're doing is for them. They don't care about Fairfax, in my opinion. Sorry.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor. I need a roll call, please, unless there's further discussion. Discussion? Any? Aye.
Aye. No. Ari Lynn is live again. Aye.
Okay. All right, we're going on to a totally different topic. Number 15, West Cemetery Road Bridge Replacement Project. The city engineer, anything with
Anyway,
Man, patient. Nobody's allowed to leave.
I like you think, I'm pretty sure you're serious.
yeah, I can't believe they did it more serious, so.
I am on table.
Okay, focus with that. Okay, what's that? Basically.
So, yeah, there's the, bridge, West Cemetery Road Bridge removal and reconstruction project. So this is a resolution to approve the, bridge plans and specifications. They should be in your packet. The specifications are the DOT specs that are being bid through the DOT. Bid letting date is December 16th. And there are hundreds, if not thousands of pages of specs, if you want to look through them, I'm sure you probably did not, but DOT are these specs. Are there any questions with the plans and specifications?
So the first item, 15A, is to approve the plans and specifications as provided by the DOT.
As supplied by DOT.
Applied to the DOT with the December 16th bid letting date. Correct?
Shane being the expert, do you have any questions? I mean, you've been on this since day one. Do you see anything that stands out?
At this point,
Pretty much everything looks in line like we talked about, moving into the north. To minimize impacts and redoing the intersection.
Shane, can you explain what the grid tied concrete block mat special provision
So,
that they?
yes, good question. So the, approaching the bridge along the stream that we're crossing. As you approach the bridge, underneath the bridge, and just downstream of the bridge, you have, stream embankment protection. So it doesn't erode and cause problems for the bridge.
Like riprap.
A lot of times you see riprap. So this is a matted front, instead of using riprap, which gets weeds in it, it's kind of an eyesore and it's hard to maintain. This is a block matting, so they're like 6-inch or 8-inch square blocks. And then there's like a 2-inch, 3-inch gap in between each block. That underneath the bridge it won't grow, but outside of the bridge you seed underneath it and you'll get some grass growing underneath it. So you'll get some green vegetation in it, so you just see it somewhat, but it'll be somewhat hidden. And from a maintenance standpoint, you can get in there, mow it, easy to, get to the stream and stuff on riprap. We get the trees and shrubs that grow up in there and it's just harder to maintain it, it visually gets. So that's the difference on this. It is a little bit more costs a little bit more than riprap, but actually not as much as we anticipated, and it is covered with the DOT funding for this project, for the federal FHWA funding for this project. Good question, Rick.
Shane, for those that are in close contact with this project, could you mention the projected start date on this project?
So, yeah, the DOT will ultimately make the final decision on the start date and the working day schedule. But what we proposed was June 1st, 2026. So, you know, that gives Boomerang enough time to get their project to a point that allows the bridge contract to come in, start, remove the bridge, and then Boomerang will have a couple small items to finish up. And they'll start constructing the bridge contract, we'll start constructing the bridge then. And we're anticipating about 90 days, working days for the bridge contractor to get it completed. Ultimately, the DOT will make that final decision if they think it's 95 days or 85 days or 100 days, but. So that's about, you know, usually anticipate maybe 18 days of working. So what's that, about 5 months? So June, July, August, September, October. So hopefully by beginning of November, Thanksgiving at the latest, hopefully we'll have done. Might have some seeding in the spring, but you know, the goal is to have it so that road is open before the end of the construction season in 26.
Any other questions for Shane? Hearing none, need a motion to consider the resolution to approve the plan specifications.
Second.
Roll call, please, Tom.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. The second part to item number 15 is simply setting the public hearing date for those plans and specifications, and that would be our next council meeting. And reminder, council, we're changing that date to Monday, November 10th.
And I see a typo in here that should say Monday, and I'll fix that. But it is the 10th. But
Because the 11th is a federal holiday,
Monday the 10th.
and we'll be closed.
Glad you said that, Monday the 10th.
So I need a motion to set that public hearing date to November 10th.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please, Marianne. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next topic, well number 4, an observation well project. First, we're gonna status and then talk about the change order.
Yeah, so they acidized the well number 4 last week. I think they're finishing up yesterday or today. And then, I think next week, and Brian, you can correct me, hopefully we'll get started on installing, the well monitoring equipment in 3 or 4, existing wells around the both well site. And then, hopefully within a week to 2 weeks, they'll do their 7-day aquifer pump testing, so they'll just pump that well for several days, up to 7 days, and they'll pump it pretty much as high capacity as they can. They pumped it already, and they got about 630 gallons per minute out of it, and they think they can get, you know, maybe 750, 850. So those are good numbers.
And originally, what was guess 450, 500, was it a hope?
They're hoping for 5.
And then this year you're saying 650.
Great number.
North of that.
Yeah, they're good numbers. Ultimately, you know, there's several reasons why I do that, but one of the big reasons why I do that is, you know, how does that impact the other possible wells that we can do out there in that property in the future? So the higher we can pump it, and, you know, give us more information on how it would impact future wells. So yeah, you can see water running out there for continuous phase here in the next couple weeks, that's what it is, and the well monitoring equipment. With a couple of the other contractors on. So, you know, kind of give us information on how that'll impact the properties that are adjacent to that site.
And you may have said this time when this did water quality, do we know what kind of quality we got coming out?
They'll take those samples, at the end of that 7-day pump test, and then they'll submit them, so it'll probably be at least a couple months before we get it.
Okay, so we're talking end of the year.
Yeah.
At this
Some of
point,
them come back pretty quick, but there might be a couple of them that take time to get them.
Any questions on the status? If not, Think we're gonna talk about the change order number 4.
The change order, I guess that explained in there, but they start with a 24-inch diameter hole at the surface, and they, the plan showing going down 100 feet. We're gonna case that till we hit rock. So you case basically, you know, you maybe see it, but you drive by the site, there's 2 to 3 foot of casing that sticks up out of the ground. And then we had in the plans to case down 100 feet, because you want to make sure you case through the soil till you get embedded into the rock. Well, they did a test bore about 70 feet, and they found rock right at about 20 feet, good quality rock. So they only needed to install, they installed a 21-foot section of that 18-inch diameter casing pipe. So they came in 21-foot sections, they had 105 feet. So it's not a common pipe material, pipe size, so they, you know, sold it back to Schimberg. But, you know, they had to take a cost and the price they paid for it. So the change order is to reimburse the contractor for basically a restocking fee for that pipe material. So obviously the city isn't paying them for that 81 feet that they installed, so there's cost savings there. So it's just so the contractor doesn't have to eat those costs.
To eat the cost, but what about returning the product though? Where did the return the product go? If
It
they're-
goes to Schimberg supplier. They supplied the pipe material.
Yeah.
And so restocking it, so the contractor then just took it back to Schimberg. But they won't just take it back and give them 100% of their money back. There's a restocking fee. So this is basically pay.
And so we're, so make numbers easy, $100 for the pipe, restocking fee of 35%, the $75 gets credited to who, to this
We
project?
don't pay for the pipe.
They never charge us for the extra pipe.
They
Yeah,
did not.
So we don't pay to put the pipe in.
They're just looking for the restocking fee,
Got
Yeah.
as far as I understand.
Otherwise, we have to pay them for it.
it.
So there's, you know, with all of the well drilling. You know, there's obviously savings because we didn't put in all of the 18-inch pipe, but we had to put in a little bit more of the 12-inch pipe because then that was longer.
Yeah.
But all said and done, even with the restocking fee, it's around $23,000 less than what was the bid price. So even with this restocking fee, we're still coming out, you know, at less cost than what the bid price is for that order.
And am I right, Shane, we won't see a change order for that less pipe used because it would be less quantity in your final.
That's right, yeah, and that was actually
Final
last month's payout.
Yeah.
I paid them for that 21 feet.
I was just saying there's already an invoice for that 120 some feet that are had, got it.
Well, in hindsight, we should have won stainless, huh?
Any other questions for Shane on the change order? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and get it started. Mary Ann should join us shortly here. I need a motion to approve the change order. Roll call.
Aye.
There we go, okay. Moving on to item number 17, sanitary sewer extension to 6811 Williams. Project status first, followed by a application.
Project's pretty much done, I think they videoed the sewer alignment, they've got a full manual test. Everything's pretty good, there is a low point in the sewer, it's not significant, and their plan is to get that addressed when property owners hook up their sewer service to the main, it's gonna be right in that same area. So they're gonna, address that issue at that time. But the project went quick, you know, pretty smooth, you know, from the project standpoint, we know there was some conflict, obviously, with the neighbor, but, and that will happen sometime. Construction's never fun, but it's what we have to deal with, and you can't get a new street, new sewer. And those things. They provide us a lot of conveniences along them, but there are some inconveniences when they go in, and some people don't understand them, so. But unfortunately for that, nothing big happened out of it, but was just the inconvenience. So other than that, the project's gone well, so it went really well.
On that note, need a motion to approve the pay application.
Motion.
Oh, sorry, yeah, talked about it yet. Go ahead, Jim.
Oh, yeah, so the pay app is, I think it's pretty much everything but the retainer, the work that was being done, so.
In the amount of 47,598.
Hang on, that says a different amount.
47,500.
Doesn't the,
That says 46,861.
Sounds good, paying less.
which is the correct? Is it the 46?
I
Huh?
would assume what's on the
Resolution.
pay application itself, which I don't have in front of me.
Uh-oh.
Which one is on the pay app?
47,958.
Okay, so that's what the agenda said, so we'll have to revise.
Oh, no, I'm
that.
sorry, I didn't go all the way down. The resolution's correct. If you look at pay app one,
Yeah,
it's 46,861.
okay, good, okay.
So, motion to pay 46,861.60.
Okay,
Or take it out.
need a second?
Second.
Roll call, please. Marion.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 18, water main extension, proposal for QTS temporary construction way down campus.
Yes, so there's a plan of improvements to extend the water main, so right now the city has, water main extended down to the southeast corner of the regen industrial site, just east of the rail site. The city's currently pumping a couple hours a day, I believe, from that water main. And, so the QTS construction staging area needs some water, for its workers. So it's gonna be a temporary water extension from that existing dead end water main over, not due east, but for the most part to the east to service that temporary construction staging area.
You say you're pumping from there now?
What's that?
So like lead flat hose or something?
No, it's just the flushing out.
Oh, okay.
It's just wasted water
Wasted
now.
water.
It has.
I got you. I thought you said you're pumping over.
Yeah, it's there to service future growth, but obviously the future growth isn't there yet, so.
So at the time it will be operational with a meter and they will be paying.
Yeah, so they're gonna put a meter at the end and a RPZ valve. And then backflow from the construction site, staging area, construction staging area. In the city's water main.
Just so everybody understand what an RPZ is.
Backflow.
Yep. The safety device, reduced pressure zone, sorry to interrupt you, Shane. I just wanna make sure everybody understands it is adamant that you put that on there. Just in case there's a cross contamination, they stick a garden hose in a radiator of a Caterpillar and we have a fire, negative pressure happens, it will actually suck that antifreeze into the drinking water. So this eliminates that from happening, makes it air break and dumps it on it.
Any comments or questions? The first resolution is,
There's A has a motion.
oh, back up.
To
So,
approve the
To approve
plan.
the plans, okay, the first motion is to approve the plans.
I do have a quick question. One, we talked about this a few months ago. We talked about these engineering fees are gonna be paid by QTS Layton, right? That's
Yeah,
still-
Shane just sent a separate invoice, right? I've got at least one, I think.
Okay.
Okay, so the motion needed here is to approve the water main extension plan of improvements.
Motion. Second.
All in favor on this one?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Now we can go on to number B. Which is an easement agreement that involves finance.
So B and C are the same thing, so I'm just gonna explain them at once and then we'll separately from two resolutions, but they basically this is just the easement. On the properties that we are crossing with that water main to get to the QTS construction station area. So there's two easements, two resolutions, because they're two separate properties, the one on the west side where we're tying in the existing water main is the logistics park Cedar Rapids. And then on the east side, it's the
Iowa land, Iowa Land and Development, I believe. So. For Iowa Land and Building, Iowa Land and Development, Iowa Land and Building Company. So that's what the two easements are, so easement exhibits and easement agreements with these exhibits.
We need to approve these separately. Unless you have questions for Shane on those easements. Okay, the first one is to approve the easement with Logistics Park, Cedar Rapids.
Second.
Roll call, please, Tom.
Aye.
Aye. The second one is to approve the easement agreement with Iowa Land and Building. Any motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please, Tom.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And then, ID is to, approve potentially amendment to the development agreement. Go ahead, Shane.
Yes, the development agreement, which was approved in June, has some language in it about, the construction site being a temporary site. That'll be removed and returned to its original condition. So, Iowa Land and Building Company requested that the original development agreement did not have any language in it pertaining to this water. I mean, it's off site, it's off the site of that temporary construction staging area. So they'd asked for us to add an amendment to the development agreement that basically, calls out the water main and clarifies that it's a temporary water main to continue by that same date in the development agreement, which I believe is December 31st of 2027.
Any questions about that?
QTS and Iowa Land both side that amendment.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please, Mary Ann. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I'll move on to item number 19. Discussion and status update of the West Cemetery Road realignment and reconstruction project.
So, Boomerang's gotten, I think for the most part, the asphalt aprons installed at the, Stallman Road, Highway 151 intersection, the widened Stallman. We've got temporary access, drive at the northeast corner of the NIMS property that will keep traffic flowing from Stallman to West Cemetery Road as you go out west from that intersection.
I did see a loaded grain truck use the detour today,
Yeah,
because it's easier for him to do that than it is to go up and turn. And I don't know if it was ARP or who, but he just,
It's just, it's
did
ready,
this morning.
let's go.
yeah, just went right through.
And you put the construction sign on there, it's closed.
That must be open up there and using it.
so I didn't get a chance to get out to the site at the end of the day, but I think, they started installing the temporary stream crossing and
Yeah,
Is that those right there?
yeah,
Okay.
temporary crop.
then, started doing the sand points tomorrow, I believe, and then the sanitary sewer, so.
The well points on this
Yeah.
side. And then they were out staking the sanitary sewer line.
So, any questions on that?
This is just an informational item.
And we have an on-site meeting, every Thursday, so.
Okay, hearing no questions, we'll continue on to item number 20. Resolution for a pay application number 1 from P Construction for the Heartland Heights Park Restroom and Pavilion project.
Jen, hang on, this says a different amount too. I don't know what
Going on?
information I went off for the agenda. Does anybody see what amount that says?
44, 7, 14, 66.
44,714,66.
Using a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, remember that time? Bernie said you never made any mistakes? And then he put the council in.
It is getting.
Put it on the
the
following other way.
So it is the amount that they're.
As the resolution
So the pay
shows.
application for P says, It's 47,068.06, but then they didn't add their 5% retainer, so they took off 23,53.40. So the actual pay application for this one is $44,714.66.
Okay, yeah, as the resolution's correct.
Okay. So any motion would need to be in that amount, the 44,714.66.
Motion in that amount.
Need a second, please?
Second.
Roll call, Tom?
Alright, aye. Aye.
Thank you. Move on to item number 21, change order number 1 from Peak, the Heartland Heights Park Roasting and Pavilion project.
Yeah, so this has to do with the door locking.
Hey, I got this amount right.
Keep back. So my understanding is there's a, if you go into the restroom, you use the restrooms, there's a push button for the inside, you lock the door, not the handle. And there's like an indicator that says, it's in use. But the original agreement they'd given us, or something given. I don't remember the details of this, but we asked them to cut some costs, so they cut out like $25,000. But one of those costs was that original locking mechanism also had a deadbolt on the outside, kind of built into it. So that the city crews could lock that out in the winter, so you couldn't get into it, but that was a pretty expensive mechanism, I guess. So, and what their costs were, the cost savings, it wasn't the 25,000 total, it was one of the items in that 25,000. They basically removed the bolt. So now this change order is to come back and add a bolt in, cut it in, separate from the handle. So it's a bolt in the 2 doors and a couple other minor little things with the door. So that's the change of it for $750. I don't know, Joe or Lynn, you may have more to add to that.
No, that's it, and then they'll key it so that the same key for off bridge and this bathroom are the same keys.
So it's a deadbolt, it's not a. It's a deadbolt, it's not really.
It's not a knot. Is that what you're wondering?
That's how it was explained. It's like an old.
Maybe we could turn it into a pay toilet.
Like in Europe.
You want to go here?
You want a locked door? It's gonna cost you a quarter.
I'll make a motion.
Motion on the floor.
Second.
Roll call, please, Tom.
Alright. Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 22.
Hey, thank
The
you.
chief gets to talk about,
I am, put their order of this gym together.
Yeah, he's gonna get somebody.
latter stage of the project. We have Want to give us an update first, chief, please?
Which part? The fire station, they started on it. They're forward, wall forward. Hopefully, the sewer stubbed in and hopefully they will start on the flat work. Pronto.
Okay, so you would like to pay them? For their efforts
I
today?
can, if Cynthia doesn't want to.
Are we gonna pay the correct amount?
I don't know.
Yeah, that matches. 2 in a row.
Motion to pay them the correct amount.
Second.
Roll call, please, Tom.
Aye.
Aye. All right, continuing to item 23, chief, we're gonna talk about bunker gear.
Yes, I am. First of all, I would like to say thank you to the council for doing what you're doing. It's a thankless job. I know. I've been doing mine for over 35 years. They love you when you're good, they hate you when you're bad. I just hope everybody looks at the whole picture and realizes that people are making a lot of statements about, think about who you're gonna vote for at the next election. And they just need to remember that this is one thing And that these people need to see what you guys do the rest of the year and the rest of how many years. Most of you have been on the council long enough that you're not here for an agenda, and I don't want people to be coming and doing this job just because they have an agenda and that's it, and they're really not working for the town, it's just an agenda that they have in their mind. But when you've been doing it as long as you guys have in one form or another, you're obviously doing it because you care about the town, not because you don't. So
Thank you.
I wanted to say that earlier, but.
Thanks for mentioning that after everybody left.
Well, the old mayor always scolded me when I talked. So he got mad at me when I made statements that would promise back, and I wish they all stayed. But maybe they'll all go home and watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, all 70 views for the last 8 months on the.
But anyway, next.
Should mention how many times Mary Ann's voted.
We're going to be purchasing new bunker gear. My plan right now is we wanna start out with 5 sets of bunker gear. Over the last year or so, we have gotten donations from QTS, from Align, from ITC, Toyota Financial, that they have given us money that, hey, earmark this for personal protective equipment. So we wrote our grant and we did not get it, obviously. So I wanna start buying increments of bunker gear, so I wanna start out right now with 5 sets of bunker gear. The idea is after the first of the year, we get farther into our budget, we'll see where we're at. We've got a lot of money that we put in savings for this if it didn't happen. So we need to replace about 20 sets because after 10 years, it's not supposed to be safe anymore. Wayne used to be on the fire department, he wore a rubber coat. But anyway, this was my process. So we have the money there, not asking for any money, I'm just asking if it's okay if I start getting all this, outdated bunker gear replaced. And I'm gonna do it one step at a time.
Regen or Trevero, have they been?
Trevero was giving us money, they really gave us last time, $2,500 or something.
I think.
Actually, Trevero was giving us about 7,500. Or no, what was the first one, Eric? Was the first one 10 though?
Yeah, I think.
They gave us 10 for bunker gear, but we never bought any, and then they gave us another 5.
Yep, so 15.
So 15,000 from Trevero. That's in savings that we're just kinda hanging on and I wanted to try to get this grant, cause I just didn't wanna throw away good money.
Yeah.
Or bad money.
And Regen?
And regen, nothing.
Same sister company though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
but anyway, that's my plan. I wanna start with this. I've got about 10 new firefighters in the last year, I'm thinking, something like that. And we need to get everybody kinda up to speed. So that's.
Because of the amount, it needs council approval.
So moved.
Second, third.
And then I'll come back to you in
All in favor?
January and give you the same story.
Aye.
Okay, got approval on that one. Item number 24. Sighting on the fire station.
Discussed this last month. And a bid was put in the packet. But we didn't have 3 bids. I didn't know there was a bid in the packet. So. I don't know, there's probably a legal thing somewhere, but if the person that did it. Let me know that. They can't. We have to accept their bid because now that everybody knows what they bid, then everybody's gonna underbid it.
I would say in fairness, we should take that bid.
So that's why that's on there. And I talked to the contractor that's doing it and he's like, fine with me, so. Oh, not the guy that's doing the thing, the guy that's doing the building. And he said that's fine with them. EIB, they did,
They don't care about the planning.
They didn't have a problem. Let's put it that way.
So again, because of the amount, it needs council approval.
So,
Second, third.
All in favor, please?
And one more thing, just to answer your question, Tom, from earlier, so everybody knows. So, Tom asked me about the water issue that was in the packet in the fire report. So this is something that, for those of you that have been on the council a really long time, it's something that I have pushed for years on when we have property in the city limits, it needs to have the utilities. And my biggest thing has always been fire hydrants, water supply. When EIB did their development out there, we made them put the water pipe in and the hydrant, so when water gets to them, the commercial property will be covered. And it's the same way in the residential area. If we're gonna be putting developments in, and when people do this, they need to, we gotta stamp it and say, you've got to get fire protection in the areas that they're doing this. And we pushed really hard for it up there when we started all these developments, and a lot of contractors were upset because they couldn't start building. Excuse me, but we wouldn't let them until we had fire protection. So when people start coming in I wanna build a house, and it's a private drive. The whole area up there is all private. So I don't know. Back then, we didn't have the strict laws, inspectors that we do now that will actually stop something like that. But it's just something in the future to make sure we continue to make people that wanna do stuff like that, but we have to put that stuff in, and it's not, would it save a life? I don't know. A life was lost. Can't answer that.
Yeah.
It's a coin toss, but it's something that we need to at least try.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, thank you, Chief. Item 25. 20E agreement with Kirkwood. Couple of changes here, Chris.
Yeah, you guys looked at this and accepted it back in June. Kirkwood then went on break, so we didn't get the changes back until this month. But this is essentially the same 28E agreement with Kirkwood that would cover the Bellman African Natural Planning area. That donation agreement contract had a call out for a third party in regards to maintaining, doing the work out there and then overseeing the natural area. And I've got Kirkwood now agreeing to do it. We give them a $1,000 donation to their scholarship fund annually. And then once they actually start seeding in the project, that amount will go to $5,000 annually.
What do they do?
They'll do the planning of it as a class. They come out, they bring in the students, they plant, mow, do the fire break. I think they even engage in the burning of it when that time comes. All that stuff. I didn't read the agreement with me.
I remember talking about it vaguely.
Yeah, the only thing we removed off the contract was, if you remember when it came to us, there was the background image of draft across the, in a shadow. And then Dustin Stromhouse name was still on it as city administrator, so we made those two changes. That call from Kirkwood just got it back to me this week or last week, so. All it is.
We just need a motion to, re-adopt that.
Motion. Second.
Roll call, please, Larry. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, item number 26. Resolution to approve title fiction, non-discriminatory requirement. Who wants to explain that?
We're getting federal money for the bridge. And so I got a call, well. Yeah, I think I got a call first. And then he emailed me the forms for us to fill out, stating that, we don't discriminate on, any of the protected classes. And we looked at it and read it, discussed it, signed it. I sent it back to, this is a guy at DOT. And then he goes, oh, well, can I get the resolution of what the council approved this? I said, I I didn't know they had to. So this is, you taking action saying that we have, policies and procedures in place that we won't discriminate against any of the protected, federally protected, classes. So you have to take this action to get the 1.5 million in federal bridge money.
And he did warn you that it would be audited.
Yeah, we will be audited at sometime in the next year and a half.
Motion.
Better not buy any pop for the staff, water for the man.
Did I hear a second? Yeah, okay. Roll call, Tom.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Item number 27, concerning adopting a degree management plan. Linda or Chris?
Go ahead, Lynn. You're up there for a while.
Lord help us.
This was something that was just brought to us by the emergency management team that we haven't had in the past, and they just wanted to have something written down, policy, so we had some type of plan. The past, as you know, like the ratio, we just kind of handled it best we could, and basically it goes to this plan. So they just want something a little bit more formal, so it's documented, and they have a copy. Any questions about it?
Technicality, really, it sounds like.
Pretty much.
Just putting it in ready, motion. Second.
Roll call, please, Marianne.
I,
Aye.
Thank you. That was quite well. Okay,
That's one to the library or the parking lot?
yeah, you're gonna do that one too, discussion
Sure.
and possible motion concerning the empty lot to be purchased next to the library.
So since now that lot that we purchased is cities, there's a lot of hazards, trip hazards, a lot of stuff open up, drop offs and sidewalk issues. And I guess my thing is, what do you want to do with it? I see a lot of liability here. I don't think our insurance company's gonna like us just leaving it the way it is. More question, what are you gonna do, how you gonna pay for it, and where that money comes from.
Is that all just slabs that are there?
As far as we know, it's just labs.
Yeah, the garage used to sit on that one big slab.
The building itself was demoed out.
Right, the foundation.
So the foundation should be below grade, right?
There is no foundation.
Or they got it all out?
They, they,
Oh, it's a full building?
yeah,
With the garage.
of the garage, but that building itself had a foundation.
That's gone.
As far as they know.
Yeah, it's gone.
But some of our thoughts were to take out as much as you can that we see as a issue. And then maybe put some millings back in, regrade it, do some millings and. But cost wise, I don't know how much that's gonna cost, but the staff should be able to do it all.
That's what came up to my mind, just chip it all up and put some milling down.
Yeah. Just the areas that are posing a hazard, right?
What is that?
Just the areas that are posing a hazard.
Yeah, which is a lot.
Yeah, it's substantial.
It's a fair share of it.
The big question is, where does the money come from?
Yeah.
I think it's Phil's point.
Can you throw some numbers together for your guys' disposal fees and?
Time wise, it'll take us what, a couple weeks maybe, less of it, if we work on it continuously, dollar wise, if that's your labor is already figured there. It'd just be more of the millings, what would go in and
Disposal fee for the concrete.
what we do in the,
Well, we need an estimate of the labor in determining which department would pay for it.
yeah, so a couple weeks worth of work for labor.
What would you do with the concrete? Where does that go?
We'd probably take it back to the shop and grind it up and use it for riprap or other.
Do you have a crusher?
No, but we can break it down to some useful,
Oh, okay.
depending on how easy it is. You know, this stuff should be relatively easy to.
Say, maybe you can take it up to Wendling too.
Yeah.
Schrader.
Yeah, Schrader up the road.
I agree that we're going, like Nick said, come back with some numbers and.
My thoughts are
Obviously, there's money in their budget, so you probably wanna know what that cost would be first before.
Oh, who's budget?
Well, that's what, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
the streets, parks, libraries, general.
well, we probably need to fix the sidewalk because that's
Well,
where
that's
the
what I was just
liability
gonna
is.
say that sidewalk.
Do we have construction fencing that we can just fence the rest of it off for now?
That's all property, you do that.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember, but that was fenced for quite a while, and that
Yeah.
fence blew down every 3 days.
Yeah.
It
Like
became more of an
it's been-
issue.
It's,
And you run out
you
of
don't
time.
have as much liability if it's fenced, so people can't get through there.
How much
That's
does
the one
sidewalk
you
needs to be
should probably
patched?
do.
Say that again.
How much of that sidewalk needs patched?
A lot, most of it, and the problem is, where it's a street, we gotta make it compliant with ADA, that's probably gonna take a lot more.
I mean, can you eliminate just the trip hazards and then we can redress it, or is it?
It's
Everybody's gotta rip it out, but 5 foot sidewalk.
That section right there, you gotta rip out for sure, I can see. Yeah, that broken
Big
section.
strip hazards everywhere. The one utility pole, the line did take it out, what they call it, but there's strip hazards everywhere. There's metal coming up through the areas. There's wires coming up. You know, the Legion rent stuff, you got library, has people coming in, you have vents there all the time. It's just, it's a matter of time before somebody's gonna get hurt.
I walk that block in the street when I walk home. At night.
Because that might start, yeah,
Yeah, for church.
Then I say come with a few different proposals.
Yeah.
What's the minimum and what's the?
Do we wanna wait a month? Oh, I think that's his point.
What comes out of this, your guy says all these budgets, and I mean, it's gonna impact that.
But are we talking $5,000 or $50,000?
That's what we're not hearing.
Roughly 10.
I don't think it's, I mean, we can.
That's where we wanna know,
Yeah,
is it a little thing or a big?
Right, exactly. 5 to 10.
Just start some foot covers.
10 plus time will cover it.
Between departments.
Well, I don't know, I mean total.
Whatever.
So I don't know.
Where's that split out?
Why that lost money?
I would just say take out the loss, get some numbers from, just.
Or you can in the next, council meeting,
Yeah, see where you're at.
Yeah.
vote on, who pays for it.
I said they can get us a loss report for that.
Oh, you have a loss report in your packet. But, you don't have payroll in lost, unless we wanna start
No.
designating that. But you could. You know, do the materials and do the labor out of departments.
One thing is too, now is the weather, is the right time to get that started. If you wait for another month, who knows what we're gonna have for weather and how soon it's gonna be able to come out. Right now, they're saying 2 weeks. I think you've gotta let them get started on it.
Does that include the sidewalk replacement?
Should. I'm just basing it off of what we did off the parking lot.
Yeah.
And what that volume of rock was for that. If this is not gonna be, this is probably gonna be less than half of that. So just going off of that, the concrete part, if we can get patched, whatever needs to get patched, absolutely, it will probably be relatively minimum. It'll probably go pretty fast. I'd rather do it sooner than later, because then we're gonna get stuck on the fire station and that's gonna blow at least a week.
Yeah.
And the colder it gets, the worse it is for that, so.
Well, that parking lot's currently being used in its current condition, a lot for events at the Legion, et cetera.
If it's a Legion, the bank, the library.
Right, the bank.
Everybody.
So do we?
So lost,
coordinate
yes.
things with them?
Got 66,000 on site.
Yeah.
Right.
Plenty of their
Well,
materials.
cause you own it.
I was gonna say, we can send them a letter saying we can't use it because we're gonna rip some out.
You still should keep them in the loop of what's going on. You keep
Yeah,
them in the loop, but you're not gonna.
Give them a courtesy, like, make them aware, but we're not obligated.
I'm thinking you get a long ways in 3 days. If you can spend 3
Yeah.
days on it, we'll get a long ways on it.
Under the rip.
Have to make sure it's clear.
Yeah.
And when the snow starts pouring in, there's no real good shape on it. Yeah.
No serious.
Break up the equipment.
Well, the Legion and the library already know about it. All we have to do is make a call to the bank.
The bank.
The library and the Legion are in the room, kind of.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
The what?
The library and the Legion are in the room.
But the bank
Right now.
employees are part
Bank, we need to
So
go.
we just let them know that we're gonna be working on it.
On the part there.
So
They sold it to us,
materials,
So there's still people.
be taken out of loss not to exceed 10,000.
We can start there. You're all right with that.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Take a motion.
So would somebody make a motion on that?
I'll make a motion or something.
Proceed,
Proceed, motion set.
all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Five.
Unless Mary Ann was out loud, I didn't hear.
I said that.
The evening is progressing, yes. So, okay, item number 29, discussion of possible motion concerning our pub entryway sign, that's it. Crash and burn, you know.
So as everybody knows, a few months ago, a person went up the highway and hit our sign, kind of did quite a bit of damage to it. So with that being said, we kind of went out there, got some estimates, some different masonry, contractors. And, the insurance says you can pick, don't have to pick the lowest, you don't have to pick the highest, they just want to know what you want to pick. So the group, you can kind of see the difference in variation of cost. I had the best feeling with oil, masonry, each masonry constructor, masonry group, I had them also look at the library archway and give me some perspective of what they think or why they think it's cracking and all that, and Doyle really was the only one that seemed to do a lot of research on that. And I gave the best information on it. He seemed like he was the most interactive with me. The other ones were just kind of going through the motion, giving me a price and didn't really care. It seemed to put much effort into it. So I really don't know one from another. Can't tell you quality of workmanship, one from another, but so I'm looking for you guys, who you want to pick of this.
Because Lynn, the person responsible for the accident, their insurance company is paying, right? They don't have
They
insurance.
don't have
They don't have
So,
insurance.
yeah, so they are currently being, we had a paper a week ago, Chris, I think, from the lawyers, they're currently
Well, Lynn County had,
trying to do something with that.
Lynn
So,
County
I'm
attorney.
not sure how that's gonna turn out.
You ain't gonna squeeze blood out your turn.
And that's another point is, what's the insurance deductibles, 10,000, right?
I think it was 10,000 if I can remember.
I mean, do you want to turn it in at this point?
Right.
So that'd be done.
So it's pretty much, well, how would you guys like to do it? Fix it? Do you wanna fix it? Do you wanna not fix it?
Is there a benefit when we're going through the insurance? Not having a claim where you get something back, when we're talking three, for example, you're saying Doyle all the way down to Keene. Is there a benefit on, as a, not turning in a claim to get rebates back? I thought there was something that, what's his name, that said,
Not that I'm aware.
no.
Yeah, you do get dinged for frequency.
Right.
Insurance.
But if we don't turn one in, there's not.
There's no.
But yeah, no, you're-
Okay.
Anytime you turn claim, you're gonna get dinged on that, so,
Yeah.
so.
And this hasn't been turned in, right? We just talked to him about it, we haven't turned one in.
Well, then which one do you want?
You said Doyle.
I was leaning towards Doyle, or my conversation with all four. But
There you go.
the
Need a
difference is on this, whoever we pick is probably gonna be spring before they get going on it because of the weather and everything else, and it's being so late in the year to tell them to go ahead. So it's gonna be sitting there. Which won't hurt the sign any, but it's just,
Well, you can make your decision based on which one can get added first.
all of them never gave me an idea. This has been going on for 2 months here, trying to get this done.
And they'll probably come back and tell you they need to eat it, gonna do it right away.
Yeah, if they don't get it next couple of weeks.
And then the other part of it was the landscaping portion of it, we got one bid, and it's up to you guys if you want me to do that, or if you wanna hire that done. It's up to you, that was the next part of it, with the other.
But
Landscaping.
Council,
Landscaping, just had some plans, some.
It's not, we got the limestone wall around the base, so it's not at all, you can put it, so you can rebuild, not that big a deal.
Okay, so you guys are opposed to doing it, is it?
I'm not opposed to it, but it's just whether you wanna do that or try to put it towards this and try to pursue it with the insurance or.
If you guys can do it, then if if it goes to insurance, then you can provide a bill on, this is what it was. Say what we had in it,
Yeah, we can
If
still
it goes-
put that into that fifth of
you can turn it in, and if the other insurance company, the attorney turns it goes, okay, we've got recourse here.
Let it be part of this.
I would move that we take the cheapest bid. It's 4 or 5 again more from the other one that wants. Just to
And not
say,
go insurance.
just go ahead and take the lowest one.
Cause if we turn it, it's a wash anyway.
So we take the lowest bid and go, repeat what you're saying.
But she was asking, yeah, we propose it. And it's not a ding on your main thing, you're saying that is, it's not a ding on. Rather than on us for the city.
There's no insurance available, there's a slower deductible.
They're gonna be working on the parking lot, so. So that motion, Marion?
I would move to do.
So you're saying the lowest bid, and then not tell the insurance we're gonna take it, do it ourselves, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if you're not,
We just tell them that the quote's less than our deductible.
yeah,
Okay.
so then you don't really turn it in. So,
Got a motion, need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey,
That was a name? Okay.
I don't like insurance companies, so I don't wanna go with the cheapest bid. I wanna go with what, be a good idea. They're on my food list, all of them, except for now, Nell's great, everybody should switch to them.
Okay. All right, then keep going, item number 30.
So this is our normal rotation we kind of try to do every year. And went out and got some bids for it. Weights. With the trade-in, which is still the best deal. So if you guys allow, I could do that first one for weights, 72-inch.
Do you have one of those now?
Yes,
Yeah.
so we have what, the 21 and 22. We have four more. But this is the 22 model.
how old is the one you're talking about trading?
It's a 22. Yeah,
How many hours you put on that?
it's got over 1,000. Yeah. The 21 actually has a hair less hours on it. For that one, we want to keep it, that have less issues with it, so.
I'll make one.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Good. All right, moving on to item 31, resolution. This is our annual DOT application agreement, with the Snow Drifter Snowmobile Club.
Same thing they do every year, motion.
Second. Roll call, please, Tom.
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 32, discussion of possible motion to hire a building inspector, zoning administrator, Christian Arthur.
Yeah, we only had 2 applicants apply. Eric Musbracken sitting behind me. And then I don't remember the other gal's name, but she was not qualified. We did one interview with Eric, the hiring committee did, and we came to a unanimous decision that we all agree Eric should get the job. He's been doing a good job filling in or assisting and
Motion. Second.
All in favor? And item number, congratulations, Eric.
Did everybody vote?
No.
They did. Again, congratulations, Eric. We haven't approved your salary yet though, so hang on.
Cross fingers.
That's item number 33. Cynthia, I want to talk about what you about to do here.
This is just, has his same salary, but just make everybody aware that, you know, this position has lots of certification, a schedule already, in place, and the hiring committee talked to Eric about getting especially the most vital ones as soon as possible. So he's be at the same, remember you just recently raised his $2 an hour, and then certifications will follow soon. So this is just changing his, title. Okay, yeah. Change his title, left his pay the same and the effective date as tomorrow.
Motion approved for compensation.
Roll call please, Marion.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Item number 34, a resolution, to adopt a revised hiring policy.
Yeah, so the hiring policy, we made some revisions, adding the building administrator, or the city administrator to the key positions in there, the key title spots in there that needed to be, taking the mayor's name off and adding the city administrator where need be. It never got done when Dustin was here, so.
And then we put two clauses, if there isn't a city administrator, it's vacant, or if we're hiring for them, then it looks a little bit different.
Yeah.
Motion. Second.
Roll call please, Marion.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, item number 35. Special proper motion concerning starting the hiring process for a full-time maintenance employee, so this would be to replace Eric. Yeah, this. Right.
Yeah, so, my recommendation for the new hiring committee would be, Mayor Beer, Lynn Miller, Brian Murrah, Cynthia and myself on that committee, and we'll make a recommendation to council at the next council meeting as to a candidate, and we would, start our posting for this new position yet this week, as soon as possible.
Yeah, in the Gazette, our newsletter, website, flyers around town and the Iowa News.
Should we post on a wider net? No, but.
What are you saying, man?
This is wider than we did for the bill. This includes the Gazette. And when you put it in the Gazette, it goes on their corridor careers.
Yeah, LinkedIn, Indeed. Those, I mean, obviously that's outside.
I think we can, but I think what you do is you pay $300, that's what LinkedIn doesn't think it is. And you get 30 people that aren't qualified. That just apply. But we could do it.
LinkedIn's pretty much promoted, but. We need more people to follow the city page like that, because we barely exist. I don't know what Indeed costs for
About $300, that's, because we use them,
City manager, or does it issue?
one of the recent positions.
We've always got good candidates with what we got, you know.
all I'm saying is that we had a really good candidate in house. But had it not been for him, what would you have been left with? We would have been slaughtered.
We would have.
Yeah, we would have reposted it.
Yeah.
We've done that before.
Yeah.
I mean, that's happened before. I don't see any reason we wouldn't get a good candidate. Try this first, keep the costs down on it, see if we get, you know, the local guys interested. Those seem to be the best hires.
Are you looking for an entry level?
Yeah,
Maintenance?
yeah.
I'm gonna take 2 people. Right.
I was talking.
I'm fine doing it both when the candidates are garbage and we can expand it even like to a wider net.
I don't think it's a position you're gonna see a lot of candidates coming from far away to move here.
Yeah, you got
There's a motion.
Tyler.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Number 36, Joe, you wanna take care of that?
Sure, so Tim McKeever, after 25 years of stepping down from the Parks and Beautification Committee Board, Amy Stauffer, who owns Grind Coffee, has expressed interest in taking his place. And I've touched base with her. One would be the start date for a 3-year term. the board has approved her application, I guess. So we're looking for that. Also, Deanna Reynolds, her term ends this year, December 31st, and she's asked to re-up through 2028. So I have both of them there. One is to bring Amy on to take Tim's spot, and the other one is to just reappoint Deanna.
So,
We need separate motions.
Is that for the Amy one?
yeah, so move framing.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Right, then we move on to reappointing Dan.
Second now, she's chicken lady.
Ducks.
Yeah.
You can tell, no one's like that.
you did an excellent job.
All in favor, please?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 38. The traveling tapster is back.
Yeah, this is for, again, a 5-day permit, October 31st over here at Grand Cassie Airport.
Mark Calendar.
We need a motion to approve that. 5-day permit. Did I get it? Did I hear, second?
I first did.
Oh, you did?
First, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item number 39 is first item, to set a public hearing date. Again, November 10th, remember Monday, November 10th. Setting the public hearing date for a budget amendment. The motion,
Motion. Second.
roll call please, Marianne.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 40, resolution to approve fiscal year 25 street finance report. Cynthia?
This is an annual report that's just about street purpose. I apologize, it wasn't in the packet till this afternoon, so I couldn't get the darn thing down till this afternoon, but it did finally. It just lists, the equipment that we have to work on, do anything on the streets, and then all of the revenues and expenses by street.
Any questions for Cynthia on the street finance report?
And this is for the fiscal year ending June 30th of 25.
There are no questions. Need a motion, please? To approve? Second. Roll call, please, Tom.
Aye.
Thank you. Takes us to claims. Any questions on the bills? Hearing none, need a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 42, attorney for citizens not on the agenda.
I don't know who that guy is, but props to him for sticking it out to the end. What a masochist over there.
Any questions from the audience that haven't been previously addressed? Okay. That takes us to mayor comments. Question for the council. We had 3 meetings, with, our deputy. Thank you, deputy, for being here tonight. Do we wish to continue the deputy's extra service here for our meetings? If so, I need to submit a request.
I think so, for a couple more. I think, especially tonight, I think being there definitely helps. Doesn't hurt.
Just a reminder, they, up to a 3-hour minimum, so if they're here 15 minutes or 3 hours, it's still 3 hours, and we haven't exceeded that.
Oh, wait a minute, you mean there's such a thing as a 15-minute meeting?
Yeah.
Well, the ones where we do it.
Special counsel. Special meeting.
The special meetings at budget time. Okay, thank you for your guidance. How many more do you want me to request? 2 or 3?
Maybe.
Beginning of the new year, sure.
Armina?
November and December meetings.
Come on.
Before we revisit it, if we want to move forward going into 26.
Okay, two more. Okay, thank you, that's all I have.
You like?
So that takes us to vacation, but I believe is it Chris or is it Chris? Chris, next.
I think the town hall meetings went really successful overall. Based on the response from the citizens, I wondered if we want to maybe keep something like that going. City sponsored town hall meeting, where we get input from residents. Just see how it works. I'm not suggesting every week like those two are, week after week, but maybe, every other month or quarterly, yeah, something like that, where we can get some resident input.
You say city sponsored?
Yeah, I wouldn't expect council to be there, but myself for sure. If something was on the agenda, say a new well again, maybe we have Brian there.
Would we be able to have more than 3 council members then, since it's city sponsored or no?
That's a sound
You have,
question.
if you have 3, it's a council meeting.
It's a council meeting.
Well, we can be there, we just can't talk.
Yeah, you can't.
No, if you're there and city stuff is being discussed, it's council meeting.
All right.
So yeah, I really wasn't looking for council input. I was thinking more along the lines of resident input, with things that are coming up. The big one right now facing us, next big one's gonna be the library edition. There's some new ideas have come to light on that. That's maybe something we want to get resident input on, before council starts looking at it, so we don't have a bunch of, texting, emails to council, and we can get some kind of feel for where residents are at. We heard tonight that residents do want, transparency, they liked that, it sounds like. Once they realize they have to,
Everything's.
they need transparency.
Has everybody talked to you about the increased traffic from QTS and Google?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
lots of people, yeah.
I think we probably need.
Especially Casey's staff, they're really concerned about it. I mean, yeah.
So Chris, citizen led or?
No, I think this, we put out an agenda. I haven't developed the idea at all, other than to suggest it to you, maybe every other month, we put out an agenda of topics that are gonna be coming up. What's your feel on it? What's the citizens' feel for it?
I think it's a good idea, because even some of the more conceptual things, like, I don't think anybody realizes, and that includes people I talk to, that like the cost coming up for the wells, the treatment facility, and why some of the decisions, or why we look at certain things, and I don't think it's a bad idea.
But I think they really.
I don't think they even know what we're doing behind the Dairy Queen. Honestly,
No, I agree.
I think it would be helpful if we could put up some kind of a future project,
We can
some kind of sign.
We can try it. I know we joked a couple weeks ago, it's like, how more transparent can we be? We put it online, we put it in the facts.
Like your tax dollars at work, new well.
I like that idea.
You know what I mean, that kind of
A sign,
thing,
yeah.
paid for.
And if people don't show up, then we'll know.
Right, we
Then
can do
we
it.
can just fix it, and then
Go
when they say, why don't you ever tell people about it? Well, we did, no one ever shows up.
Right.
We have 6 views on.
Can I make a comment? Sorry, as a citizen,
That's coming.
one that led that, one of those
Hi,
online.
Amy.
So I'm Amy, sorry, just got off work.
You came in late. She's
I
smart.
did. Yeah, so I've heard. I think that would be a really great idea, Chris, to have some town hall meetings for residents to attend. We got pretty good response from people coming to those. And I do think it would help, like, everyone know what's going on in town. I think one of the things you guys need to do as far as your social media goes is post more regularly and repeat it, because it doesn't come up in people's feed. There is like an algorithm to social media, unfortunately, that I'm learning about. So like the more you post on the city government page, then the more people will see it in their feed. Another topic I thought would be really good to have a town hall meeting about would be when we have people running for council or mayor or whomever, to have a town hall meeting where people can come in and meet those people, not a debate of any kind. Just so like
we can say, hey, Tom, I'm Tom, this is why I wanna be on the council, whatever, and then, okay, so Mary Ann, this is my name, this is why I'm running for mayor, that kind of thing, because we see signs around town, but like, nobody's come to my door, you know, I mean, one person came to my business, but otherwise I haven't spoken to anyone. So I think that would be a good, opportunity for residents to come and meet you and put a name with the face, or the sign, or whatever. My husband and I were talking about that last week even, so.
I think we had 2 cycles ago at the library.
Yeah.
A candidate meet and greet? Yeah.
Yeah, we did that once.
Well,
Well, we
something
did
if
that
you're
for our
interested
city
in.
administrator position, we did the meet and greet, so yeah.
Yeah, I think people like that kind of stuff, so.
Is that something we're interested in doing before the election?
Makes sense.
Give it a try, run.
Right, short notice, but.
Put it in the Fairfax facts. That's,
Too late.
that'd be too late, well, the next time that it comes up and.
As far as the town hall meetings and the points I really thought would be important is trying to help residents understand the process. Cause I mean, we're 3 months into this zoning issue and there's a lot of people that still don't even understand the process. You know, and what it takes. So I think those questions maybe could be answered at a town hall, if we get people to attend the town, I hope, so just an idea. So I
Some
really
of that, Chris, is they don't really care about the process until it affects them.
I understand, but again, we can try it.
Okay, anything else, Chris?
Nope.
Thank you. Cynthia?
I'll be in Des Moines tomorrow. The bonding attorney's having a seminar and then our new software having a lunch and learn, so I'm going to both. Next meeting, as we've mentioned many times, Monday, November 10th. And voting will be here, on the Tuesday, November 4th. Polls are open, I think, 7 to 8, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., 1 hour.
That's it. Anything else? Need a motion to adjourn? Second, please.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for your attendance.
Ben, I don't know how you did it in 3 hours and a half.
What were you expecting?
Thinking about 11.